Ricky Carmichael is the undisputed GOAT of motocross, and while it might be hard to believe, dominance isn't the best word to describe this icon of two wheels. During his historical career, RC won 7 of 7 Premier Class outdoor titles, 10 of 10 in total. Every single time he lined up to race, he won the title. And 2 of those times, he went perfect.
Dude, I never even planned to go undefeated. Who the hell does that?
Zoom out a little further and you'll see an even clearer picture of dominance. From 2002 to 2006, he won 104 of 118 motos and 54 of 59 overalls. The legendary Chad Reed beat him twice in 87 head-to-head matchups, and the greatest talent in our sport managed to best the GOAT in 10 of 48 tries.
I hope he doesn't beat me. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's going to be good.
Oh, and he also won 5 Premier Supercross titles. With all this being said, dominance is not the right word. It's humility. After an 8-figure career, RC didn't just ride off into the sunset like the greats almost always do.
I was done though, man, mentally, and I knew my time was up.
Today, you'll find Ricky Carmichael still grinding for the sport he loves. He's been a team owner, a brand ambassador, and now an analyst on NBC, giving fans insight from a life dedicated to his greatest passion. Ricky Carmichael, welcome to Gypsy Tales.
We had an awesome time in Ireland for the Isle of Man.
Oh, did you go over there with him?
I went there for that. Yeah, he hosted me for that. So we did, what was it? Barcelona MotoGP.
Yep.
We were there for 2.5 days, and then we did Ireland. That was awesome. It blew all my expectations.
Had you ever done much when it comes to the road stuff at all?
No.
Road racing?
Never. I've never done a track day or anything.
Never?
No. Always wanted to. And they were popular. They were popular back in the day. At my Cowie days and stuff, a lot of people used to do track days. But then when AMA Superbike got all
yeah.
AMA ran that into the ground. Yeah, so that's it.
Man, you should do one. Would you do one?
Yeah, I would.
I'd
love
one
to
with you.
I'd love to experience it.
It is.
Is it?
So
you've done
good.
it?
Yeah. I did a thing with your caddy for a couple of years in Australia, and I started off with, they have a model called the Hyper Motard. So it was kind of like dirt bikey, and that was the introduction. And then I went and rode with Troy Bayliss and Ollie Bayliss, and then they were giving me some kind of pointers and that. Then the next bike I got was a full street bike, and I did a track day at Phillip Island, and then I did a track day with a friend at a local track. Honestly, so much better than I thought.
That's cool.
And I was shitting myself
to
do it. I was actually really scared, but it was way more manageable and mellow and consistent, and it was way more fun than I thought it would be.
That's cool.
So if you get to do it, I'll do one with you.
Okay. Game on.
Big snowboard guy these days though, right?
No, I ski.
Skier. How was it?
It was awesome.
Looked so good.
Oh, it was. Dude, it was good. Kids had a good time. It was awesome. Much different than Park City.
Yeah.
Just different slopes, less steep, better groomed, wider, more chill.
Yeah. It's just such a cool vibe up there. We actually did Christmas up in Breckenridge.
Did you?
Years ago.
Okay. Then
you
know.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Laid back, local. It's good.
Did you guys do anything over Christmas or anything? Or this, you were kind of saving it for...
No, so this trip
time.
this trip is for this was for their school. So they're in their junior year of high school, and their junior trip was snow skiing. So I'm like, well, I'm going to be out there. So instead of flying home, and my wife's busy working, so I'm like, dude, I'm just going to come hang out and ski with you guys because we love skiing together. And then when we were in Park City, that was just kind of like a New Year because we alternate.
Yeah.
Since I've been divorced, we alternate Christmas break. 1 week, 1 year they're with me the first week, then the next year they're with me the second week of holiday. So it just alternates, and they were with us the second week this year, so through New Year's. So we went out on the 26th and flew home on the 1st.
Yeah.
So it was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it before, as we were getting ready to do this. I think the first time we met was 2015 at the goat farm. for the Suzuki launch?
No, it was before that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because we were in.
When was Costa Rica then?
Costa Rica was 13 or 14, I think.
Dude, so we've been friends over 10 years.
Yeah, I think that was 13 or 14.
Dude, the time goes fast, man.
It does, doesn't it? Because, yeah, Faulkner was
on a Super Mini.
Yep.
What year was that? Just search up Fox. What was it called?
Costa Rica. I don't know.
Yeah, just like Fox Racing Costa Rica. So that was the first time. I just, for some reason, had
was that? I think, honestly, I think we had met before that.
Really?
Somehow, some way, because I don't, I vaguely remember you and I, like, it wasn't like, oh, dude, nice to meet you. Like, hey, it was more of like, good to see you again. That's what I can kind of remember.
When was Go Down? 9 years ago.
That's it, dude.
2015, yeah.
Oh, it was 15?
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like we shot the
dude, I was wrong.
I shot the Suzuki commercial at your place, and remember you couldn't ride, so who rode for you? But you were there doing like all.
Why couldn't I ride?
I think you were hurt or something.
Really?
Bobby Canary rode for you. Does that ring a bell?
Nope, I don't even remember that.
So yeah, you couldn't ride. And
was that after this or before this?
I think it was before this.
Okay, so maybe that's why, like, so the reason I couldn't ride is because I had melanoma cut out of my calf, and I had a massive incision on the back of it.
Huh.
And because I had that done in March of 2015.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep. It's starting to make sense.
So, and then because I remember I had this in the pipeline, and I'm like, it's got to be healed before that.
So it would have been, because I just remember going to the goat farm, and I was sure that was the first time that I ever met you. And we walked, I just remember we walked from the farm, and the first like shot that we had to do was, it was like on one of the tabletops or something like that. And we were just like bullshitting, and you were just ripping on me like from the jump, and I was like,
just getting into you.
I was like, I love this dude. Like, this is so. I didn't know what to expect. And
yeah,
I didn't. And
if I ripped into you, then that means that I liked you.
And I was going back and like I remember the people that were there, and like the Suzuki people were looking at me like,
oh, that's
like,
cool.
This is a lot.
How did you get in on that?
The Medium. You remember Garth Millar? Like, yeah, Garth.
So, okay.
So Garth's company, the Medium Group, dude, it's actually a pretty funny story. I can tell this now, but so Garth hired us because we were doing like drones and shit.
Yeah.
We were like one of the very first people.
I remember we had it at that.
Remember it didn't work?
Oh, I thought it worked. I thought we crashed it.
No, it didn't work, and we had to get a big heli. Remember, I had to like fly a big helicopter in, and then so I got. But I knew the drone wasn't going to work the whole time. But we got the job because we said, so we'd already lined up this guy, the heli dude, to like come in and save the day. But I was like desperate to get this job. But I had like no money. Like,
so you had to, I know.
But I had the drone.
I think I do remember. I think I do remember now the heli being there.
Yeah, there's a photo. There's actually a really sick photo. I'll find it. But it's like you being like this, and I'm in the helicopter, and Garth like took a photo, and it ended up working out sick. Like we did the job, but I was just like, I was like 90, maybe like 80% sure that the drone wasn't.
Well, no, it worked properly. At this one though. You were talking about at the goat farm.
Yeah, the Suzuki.
There you go, dude. But I honestly, I vaguely remember the helicopter, but I don't remember anything else about that.
I'll send you the photo. But yeah, I just remember that was like one of the coolest experiences for me, because like
I just cracked right into it.
Oh, dude,
revving
and I
you
just
up.
loved it, and I was like giving you shit back as well. Like it was so good.
Yeah,
and I was like, damn, this. And I've said it to you like multiple times over the years, but you know, like never meet your heroes. I'm like, bullshit. Like meet Ricky Carmichael, because that dude's the best.
Dude, that is. Yeah, we've been friends for a long time. Yeah,
it goes quick.
Time, it does. It's scary. You have kids, and it really goes fast. Like my kids will be out of school, regular school, in a year and a half, and then it's just like I'm gonna be like, man, what am I doing? You know, it's scary.
The thing is, though, that I love, like you said before, like you're divorced now.
Yeah.
And when I remember when I met you, that Suzuki thing, I think Ursula must have pissed you off or something that day.
Really?
I got the vibe.
Really?
And I was like, damn. And
He's not cool.
no, I was bummed. You know, like, I don't know.
That was close. It was
sensitive
getting
to that.
close. Like those, yeah, like, so that was 15. I mean, that was, yeah, I mean, we ended up splitting at the beginning of 2016.
Yeah.
So it was, it was probably a bad day.
But I remember, and I remember being like bummed for you. Like you just never, you just want people to be like happy in their relationships.
Totally.
But from like that day then to now,
oh, dude,
it makes me so happy for you.
Thanks.
To see where you're at.
Thanks.
Because a lot of people, dude, they stay in that for so long, and it just like they spend years and years and they never find happiness. And like seeing you now,
thanks,
like over the last little bit, that makes me very happy.
I appreciate that. So I will tell you that, like, in my second life now, you know, after being divorced, I definitely am much happier, without a doubt. You know, my partnership with my wife is awesome. We have mutual respect. She grinds. She came from nothing, put her own self through school, you know, got her law degree. She's contract lobbyist in Florida, one of the top women contract lobbyists in the state, owns part of her own firm. And just, I never really understood what that was like until I had it. So I'm like, wow, this is definitely different in a positive way. And listen, you never want to see families split up, and it sucked for our kids, no doubt about that at the beginning.
At the start,
but at the end, I mean, I can't speak for their mom, but I can speak for myself that it made me a better parent, because when we went through the process and I had the kids, I was only focused on them and no one else. And so, like, my kids had all of me, 100% of me. Whereas
it just changes the dynamic.
It changes that dynamic. I'll never. The memory is so vivid. It was at my old house, and I just remember sitting in the driveway. They're riding their bicycles, and I don't have my phone. I'm not worried about anyone but them. I'm just like, dude, what do you guys want to do? And, you know, how can things be better? What do you need from me? And I was only worried about their best and no one else. I'm like, dude, I'm a 10 times better parent. And I mean, I love being a parent. It's the best thing ever that ever could have happened to me. But it just, I love kids, and I'm fortunate to have some good ones. But it worked out in the end. It did. It really worked out in the end, because I feel like the worst thing you can do is, and this is just my opinion, is I feel like you don't want to set a bad example of a relationship for your kids. You know, not that we never fought or anything like that. So, you know, but you just want everybody to be pumped, and you want them to see what it's like for your spouse to be happy for you and supportive for you and all that fun stuff. And, you know, I don't really have any regrets. I'm in a much better place now. And everything works out. Like, I am so stoked in my life. I mean, I feel appreciated. And I also, like, I live my life, dude. I have so much fun. I think a lot of people don't understand how fun I am. They don't. And I wanted to talk to your audience about that. Is like, I kind of go, like, when I was racing, dude, I was there to do my job. I came in, I feel, at an interesting time, right? You got MC, dude, he's the king of Supercross. That was a fun time. I'm from Florida, kind of doing my own thing. And it took a while to get to the level that I was at, you know, especially being the premier class champion, 2 years. But still, people loved me the early on. And then it's like, I go back to 2001, dude, they loved the battles, right? And they're like, finally. And then you'd end up winning and you beat the people's champ. And then I go into 2002. Yeah, I changed from Cowie to Honda, whatever, but I didn't change my personality.
As a person, yeah.
So I'm like, man, almost kind of, I feel similar to, like, if I had to think what Jett is thinking, and I hate, I'm not in anyone's head as far as I don't know what they're thinking, but I just remember thinking, like, why is everyone hating me so much? They loved me last year, and they thought I sold out. I didn't, whatever. But I think I beat their hero, you know? And I felt like it was a personal attack. And I'm like, so anyhow, I came up through a weird time and then had some success, and then Pastrana comes in, right? And he is unbelievable, right? And so they loved him, and another reason to not like me. Then Chad popped into the scene, and things kind of, you know, at this stage, everyone wanted to see me lose. And once I went to Suzuki, things started to turn back around. Even like when Bubs came in, I wouldn't say that he took some of my fan base. I think that when I went back to Suzuki, that's where the tide started to turn with my fans. And I feel like, you know, that final year, 2007, when I was racing an abbreviated series, I think I had a ton of support. I was pumped. I'm like, okay, dude, it made full circle, and it was good.
If you think about, I think it's a very accurate assessment, right? But even talking to Eli the other day.
Yeah.
Bro, 2020, 2021, or like 2019, 2020, Eli coming off the crashes in 2015 and Dunge beat. Everyone's like, this guy's never going to win. He's overrated. He can't figure it out in terms of the fans.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, I ever since he went to the Star Racing Yamaha,
deal. Suzuki,
he made it. I'm saying from a performance standpoint, it seems like he figured out all of his shortcomings of not being consistent on the starts, and like he just post up a 7th place, and you're like, dude, what in the hell is going on? It's like, and people look at us in the booth like, what's up, dude? Tell us what's going on. I'm like, I have no clue. It's so foreign to me because I go back to, you know, my days of racing, like MC and all these guys, the best in the business, and the stats say that, Stu, Reedy, and like they would never do stuff like that. So I'm like, how is this guy this awesome? And he just goes and rolls around the next weekend. Obviously, he wasn't rolling around, but
comparatively,
when he moved to the Yamaha, I felt like, I mean, it was the best version of him that I've ever seen. Like well-roundedness, where he didn't have any weak points, nothing. It's been incredible to watch. Incredible to watch.
Well, and just to speak on the fans' perspective, like nowadays, bro, like he is the man.
Yeah.
Everything that, I mean, even the podcast shows out, like, dude, we posted it 3 days ago and it's had like hundreds of thousands of hours of watch time.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me.
Crazy.
Because, because he doesn't always talk.
Doesn't, yeah.
So he comes on your pod, you guys kill it, and he does a great job. You ask awesome questions, and the vibe in here makes you want to talk. I'm not saying, I don't want to use the word vulnerable, but it's just it's a comfortable setting, so you feel comfortable of saying things. Going back full circle to my life now, dude, I have so much fun. We take tons of trips, my wife and I. She wants to create memories also with the kids. So instead of buying them materialistic bullshit, like we take them places. Anywhere where we can go that they can come, it's not conflicting with their school. We bring them. And if it's just her and I and we want to go somewhere, we go. Whether it's with friends, by ourselves, and I'm living my life. You know, I've made a great living. I can still do it, and I have the funds to do it. So I'm gonna do it because you never know, and I'm living. I'm probably the happiest I've ever been. Ever have a good time. I mean, dude, you're behind me in closed doors, a couple cocktails, and having a good time. Me and RV. It's just like I can be so misunderstood. But that's okay, dude. It is okay. I know who I am. I'm happy with who I am. I know I'm a good person at the end of the day, and not everyone can see that. But most people that I hang out with, I mean, they keep wanting to hang out with me, and it's not because of who I am. I think it's because of who I am on a motorcycle. It's who I am as a person.
Yeah. Oh man, and just over 10 years, you've just been the nicest dude to me for like. But not like for no reason, but it's like literally, dude, I was just nobody. Like I was just a camera dude, like 20 years old, and you were just always the coolest. No
Well,
matter
I think
where I saw you, no matter where we were in the world, like it was just, I don't know. It definitely speaks so much.
Well, I
to your
appreciate that,
character.
but I think a lot of that is, I could see. I don't know. I think this is one way how I was gifted. Obviously, I had some talent to ride a dirt bike, but then there's other guys that are way better at the craft on a dirt bike than I was. I just had the work ethic to get me over the hump. But I was able to recognize, the sacrifices that people make. I was able to recognize at a very young age. I saw it with my parents. Like people always say, like, "What? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Like, why'd you keep going if you didn't like it?" I'm like, well, I was able to see what my mom and dad.
It was a bit deeper than fun or wanting.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what it's like, well, man, I can't let my parents down. I mean, I raced for them because I felt bad. There's no way that I could tell them I want to quit. Once in a while I did if I got in a heated argument and didn't want to ride or the conditions were shitty that day. I'm like, I just want to quit. And they'd always say, well, quit then. Like, call my bluff. I'm like, my God, I feel bad. But I could see from what you were doing and how hard you were working, how genuine you were, I could tell, like, you had that ethic, so that's why. And then look, here we are today. You're absolutely killing the game, and
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love seeing people make it. Like going to my broadcast career, and dude, it sucks sitting in that seat sometime and having to call the hard shots. But I'm doing my job a disservice if I don't call it like I see it, and I work really, really hard to make sure that when I'm giving my analysis that someone can't refute it. And it's not really an opinion. It's a fact base, and I can't get into it and tell you why it was a fact on national television,
Yeah, but you've got,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do,
like,
I work really
I've done
hard.
the research.
That's right. Like I'm not just, and I'm thinking when I'm saying this stuff, and some of it comes, like just, like my knowledge for the sport. But going back again, making full circles, like it sucks to sit in there and tell the truth. And sometimes those guys don't want to tell the truth, and it pisses everyone off.
And a lot of people
some
don't
of the
want
athletes.
to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
It's me and AC, we were talking about it here the other day, like so hard to separate feelings. And I mean, I definitely try and walk the line where I'm like, I'm not a media guy, but it's like, fuck, I got the credential. Like I signed the contract and
You're a media guy.
I know, but I mean, I'm reluctantly, like I'd way rather just have fun and talk shit. But I mean, there's definitely a point where, there's some stuff that happened in the off season. You just don't speak on it because I'm like, I know the truth.
Yeah.
I can't really say it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to piss off some people and might ruin some relationships that I value. And it's a very, 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 very tough line to walk. And the problem is if I could just be, like, no, I'm just not going to talk about it, and no one cared, then fine. Yeah. But when you don't talk about something, it becomes very obvious why, and it dints your credibility, and then it dints people's opinion of you and what you work hard to build as an analyst, as a journalist, what you work hard to build over these years, your credibility. It's like so easy to take, and it's so hard to, respect. It's like you can lose it in a second. It takes years to build. I
think too, like you get to a certain place in your career, like other than just spilling dirt and drama, I don't even think you need to. I think you're past that. I don't think you're a dude that has to dig for drama to get for clickbait. You bring people on your pod, you have a great conversation, and that's what people love. It's like there's no drama, It's like you conduct great interviews. It's fun, and you don't have to find the dirt. You can find the dirt. I can find the dirt. There's a lot of things that I know that I don't say on TV out of respect for the manufacturers, the athletes, all that fun stuff. But going back to like seeing you and recognizing your talent, I mean, it's just like, I love seeing athletes rise to the occasion under the toughest conditions.
The performance.
Like an example, we were on our content call for TV this weekend, and we were talking about Chase, and I'm like, dude, Chase is an incredible athlete. He is, I mean, he's almost like the modern day Chad Reed when you think about how much the guys that he's racing with, Eli Tomac, Jett Lawrence, they cast a big shadow, dude. And he Chase has had his struggles, but he just keeps coming back, and that's what Reedy was so tough, dude. He was almost like talked his way into winning, and it was frustrating. You give that guy a nibble, and he'll take that much. I'm like, dude, how do you do that? It was pretty impressive, and that's what I'm impressed with Sexton. And so, was it a good ride at Anaheim? Absolutely, it was. But he's capable of that, But putting my analyst hat on, what happens if Jett's better? What happens if Eli doesn't go down? Yeah. I want to see him. I want to see him have those guys on his ass and him not falter. That's what I want to see, and I want to see him do it more than any of the other guys out of the SMX championship. And I don't think that's wrong for me to want to see that, and it's not wrong for me to want to say that. That's on, and at the end of the day, I feel like when he's sleeping at night, because I feel like he's honest with himself. Maybe I'm wrong, and I think that would be the best feeling for him. Like, dude, I got the best of those guys at a perfect scenario.
Yeah, he's in a real unique place of being like the perennial underdog.
Yep.
He has never been, I think his speed has been respected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I don't think he's ever been respected as a champion, which is pretty crazy.
It sucks, doesn't it?
Because he's won every championship except the SMX championship. Yep. But everything else, he's won. And he didn't win a 250 motocross, but come on. That's all right. Yeah. But the big dog championships, he's won motocross, he's won supercross, he's won supercross in the lights. He's won so many championships, and he's never been looked at as the guy, I don't think. So I wonder if he
amongst who though?
Well, because then it was always but Eli had the Colorado thing, and then Jett crashed out of the championship. So there's always been someone's put an asterisk on it. I'm not saying there is an asterisk on it, but some people have put an asterisk on his championships. But seeing him at A1, listening to him in the press conference, I feel like he's finally just let go. He's just like...
I think that would be the best thing for him.
Yeah, that's, I think, is the best. When you just stop caring, I think Jett's probably at a point where he needs to let go of a few things. It seems like he's got...
What do you think he's hanging on to?
I think that he's spun a bit of a narrative, or people around him have spun a bit of a narrative, like the haters, and that it's this, and that it's when he come out and said that they don't like me because I'm Australian, I was like, bro, I think there's now, I think that's I think it's safe to say now, you've got something wrong.
Yeah,
if you genuinely believe that. And maybe to play, again, that's my boy. But maybe it's he went to Australia and experienced the fans there, and it was well, if it's not there, if it's not like that there, maybe it's because I'm Australian. I don't know.
I don't think it's because he's Australian. I think it's because he's winning. And what's crappy is I think that we live in a world now to where not everyone, sorry, a lot of people try to find the negative rather than the positive. Yep. It's like Instagram comments. I bet it's a 60-40 negative ratio on comments rather than the opposite. It's crazy. So I feel bad for him. It sucks. But at the end, I do think where he's really good is I think he'll be able to tone it out. And I was thinking...
That's why I think, let it go. Just fully let it go. I said in Australia, I was just the amount of... Because I had to deal with it.
Yeah.
There was a...
I remember when you were climbing, and then people were beefing with you, competitors beefing with you, not racers, people competing in the podcast world, for what,
Yeah, and just comments. Every video has negative comments. Even the Eli Tomac podcast, the guy, that's probably the longest conversation he's ever had in his life, let alone longest media conversation.
Right.
And someone still finds it. So it's at some point, again, you just got to let it go. And I think what you were saying before about, you're a good person.
Character.
People know, yeah. And I think that's what you have to get to on the internet. If you're an athlete, if you're a personality that's public, you have to have the wherewithal in yourself, and you have to have the talk with yourself to be like, okay, this person knows me. Like if you came up to me and said, hey, Jace, you're being a bit of a dickhead. I would have to like fully consider that. You know what I mean? Like I'd have to internally.
And
like,
I would tell you, I'd be like, dude, I think you're out of line.
You
on
have
this
told
one.
me on things.
Have I? Oh,
there was, I can't remember what it was. There's definitely been something where you've told me, and I was like, fair enough. And it's like if it's a person that you know and respect.
I think it was maybe when the SMX World Championship was announced, and not
sure
everyone understanding what was really happening.
The bigger picture play.
That's right.
Yeah,
I think maybe been that. I'm like, I can't remember exactly what.
I think it was. But I would then you take that shit on board. But if it's a person that you don't know and doesn't know you, they're probably wrong. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you can't take that if someone's wrong. I've been wrong before.
Dude, I'm wrong all the time.
So
you kidding me?
I'm like, hey, bro, you're probably wrong.
Or
you don't actually know me. You don't know the big picture. You don't know what's going on. But yeah, there's some people where. So again, to go back to the Jett thing, it's just like, bro, no one. His line at Anaheim for autographs was psycho.
He's a polarizing figure.
Fully psycho. The amount of support of people that went there to see him or bought tickets to see. That's just what you have to look at. And the haters are they're hating you for fun.
Yeah. 100%. It's sport for them.
Yeah. And you just can't let it get to you. You have to
drown
it out. So I think Chase has got to the point, I think, and again, I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
But like this is my observation, is it's like, I want to be the guy. Like people don't, I'm this good. All my championships are legit. Like he would have been holding on to that and wanting to like really prove that. And I think the win at Anaheim, the way that he talked after it, he's like, nah, I don't care. I'm just doing my own thing. I know if I do my own thing, then I'm good enough. And it's like, correct.
That's right.
Like 100, correct.
Focus on you and don't focus on, you know where Eli's good. You know where Eli might struggle. Same with Jett. You have a guy writing out your strategy. You know what you need to do. And you go out and take care of yourself. Like, dude, I knew where Bubs was good. I knew where Chad was good. I knew where they struggled. So that I knew what I had to do to take advantage of the challenges that they were going to have on said nights. Same with MC. Like I knew that once I got into a position where I knew I could go the full main event. I'm like, okay, I know he won't be willing to do this over here, so I'm gonna do that. I feel like I can do that comfortably.
What was like an example of that?
An example would be like just overriding a little bit. It was in my comfort zone, so work on sprints, a lot of speed work, just to get that high end speed to where I knew he was so calculated, very similar to Chad. They weren't gonna ride over their comfort level, but their comfort level was
crazy.
So fast,
crazy.
So like that, and I knew like he didn't have the juice like to go the full 20 once I could match his speed for 20 laps. So I had that in the bag also. So I had the speed and then I had the fitness. But I learned so much from that guy, just from a racecraft standpoint, why he was so good. And I just remember just in those moments, like, I see why he's
talking
the king
Chad or James?
Now I'm talking McGrath.
Yep,
I'm like, now I know why he's the king of Supercross, just where I could just sit back and analyze how he does these small things that gets him the results that he did.
McGrath is such a crazy, like an anomaly, right? Because you think like Stanton, McGrath. You put those two dudes next to each other in a lap. That was a year later. That's how big of a jump the sport took from Stanton to McGrath. Like, that's almost like an alien landing on Earth and then riding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like an incremental.
Completely different. It's like two different sports almost. It's almost like comparing Supercross to MXGPs, dude. But just a different way of approaching the racing. like the contrast between MXGP and Monster Energy Supercross. Now you got Jeff Stanton, who literally would die training, and an MC quietly working behind the doors, maybe not to the level, but relying on a lot of talent also, I feel like. I mean, definitely put in the work. You don't win that many championships by not working your tail off.
But he just rode the bike differently.
Yeah.
Like, and you see, I mean, dude, Alex is a good example. Like, he doesn't train ever, barely rides, but he's very good at riding the motorcycle to where it's like a very smooth, very like, and the guy can just pump out a bunch of motos and a bunch of, and I feel like that was, Jeremy was like, when you're this efficient and when you're this precise and when you have this much flow and when you're doing it so easy, you almost don't need that much fitness in a sense. And even, I wonder how...
Because you're so efficient.
Exactly. And I even wonder with Jett sometimes, like the way Eli rides his motorcycle, like you have to be crazy fit. The way you rode a motorcycle.
Yeah, you have to.
You had to be crazy fit. I wonder how fit Jett even has to be because of how perfect his riding style is. You know, and I think McGrath just had that
efficient.
Alien level efficiency and just like completely changed
Definitely
everything.
Compared to the guys that he was racing with. There's no doubt about that. No doubt. Then the younger generation started to come up, the Villemans, the Lusks of the world, and I think was more of a challenge for them, you know, but they just didn't have that championship form and the tangibles to get it done in a 16-race championship. It's funny. So people always say, look what you did, RC, you ruined it. You got everyone's training now, and I blame MC because he was so good. For me to be able to beat him, I had to overwork because I lacked on the bike ability. Again, I had good ability, but not to the level of him. And when I say that, I'm meaning it like if you go out on a supercross course and you do this gnarly rhythm section, he's going to be able to do it way more frequently with way less prep, where I'm going to have to do so many repetitions to get it right. So see what I'm saying? Yeah. So he just had a natural ability, and he took advantage of that. And so I knew like the only way I was going to beat this guy is if I had a little bit more speed, because I knew I never going to have the technique. And if I could just be in better shape than him, then you know that would make up for the lack of bike ability, I feel like.
Because that's, I think, what talent is. In a way, is because I've been obsessed with like, what even is talent? How are you talented?
Have you?
Well, because I didn't have any.
Oh, come on,
so
dude.
I want to look at the people, well, not for motorcycle. I feel like I'm talented in other ways, but like I wanted to race motocross, and there was no chance, you know. And so it's like,
like what separate you from me? Like growing up, and I mean, obviously, maybe I had more opportunities to ride, but if we imagine you and I being 7 years old and we're like, okay, we're going to do everything the same. See, and you know, like what would be the difference?
I think like, so my brother's a great example, right? So my brother's quite naturally talented for motocross. So he's a lot better than me. And I felt like exactly what you said, like you had to do so many reps. Like I went and rode Paris last night. So fucking shit. It wasn't even fun for me to do because...
But you went anyways.
Well, I wanted to go take the boys to have a ride. You know, they've been grinding. But before World Vets, I was riding so much. I think I did like 70-something 20-minute motos in 2024 or 2023, whenever it was. And I got better. Like I actually got a lot better. But I knew, and that's when I was a kid... I just knew I didn't ride enough. I was the kind of person where if I don't do it every single day and grind, I can't be good. So that's what I think talent is, right? So then my brother, dude, he'll have 6 months off riding, and he could have gone to Paris last night and been within a little bit of what he was when he was training. So what you said, I think that makes a lot of sense with me. Right. But I just think, yeah, maybe with the sacrifice that your parents made and the what they had. Like, I mean, I rode once every 2 weeks as a kid.
Yeah.
And wanted to be pro.
Yeah, that's not enough. Maybe if you had your brother's talent, like you're telling me about, it'd be different.
But I think that's what talent is. I think that there's some people that have the ability to like do it to a certain level, whether they do it once a month, once every 3 weeks, and then there's other people that they have to do it every single day. And then in jiu-jitsu, like I could not do jiu-jitsu for 6 months, go and do jiu-jitsu, and I'm not that far off where I was. So that's a thing. And the
but why do you think that is compared to moto?
Don't know. That's the first day I did it. I was like, oh, this is like I think this is what it's like to have a natural talent.
Dude. So I always wanted to play instruments, right? Like guitar. Okay. Dude. And I love music, right? It doesn't matter what kind, you name it. Yeah, oh yeah, I've done piano lessons, guitar lessons, everything. And I can't play by ear, so I have to read music in order to play it. And for I just, it's so hard to read music and play and read and it's so frustrating to me because I feel like I have a sound for music, little nuances in songs. I'm like, oh, dude, listen to that. That's a nice little riff right there. And like some people can't even hear it. And I'm like, it pisses me off so bad that I can't play. It's just like,
So you feel like
I wish I had that talent to play an instrument by ear.
Have you ever done learned music theory?
No.
That's what
I didn't even know what you're even music theory.
Yeah. So all right. We'll go on just a little side note here, into a little sidebar. So, to play by ear, you need to learn music theory and like intervals and different you can kind of go deep. I reckon if you spend a year studying like actual theory, so like what's a first, what's a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, how everything kind of comes together, and then if you know something's in if it's in the key of C, then you start with C, and you'll hear there's only a certain intervals that you can play, and then so that's how you actually figure out playing songs by ear. Yeah, you're probably missing like a little bit of music theory.
Yeah,
I've played guitar forever.
That sounds.
I'll send you some links.
You got to send me.
I'll send you some links.
Send me.
I have this Japanese guitar teacher that I just I just do it online. And it's all music theory. He's the same dude that taught John Mayer how to play guitar.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like game changer. So I played guitar as a kid my whole life, but never learned music theory at all. I would get tabs and I'd have exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fix my childhood. I'm gonna buy a nice guitar, nice amp. I'm gonna get lessons. So yeah.
Because dude, this is where I like people.
But some people can just do it.
I this would be right. So it fires me up. Like my son, for example, when he was doing piano lessons, he could play. I could see him learning, and he was doing it by ear. I'm like, that dude, how? And we were doing lessons together, and it was just tripping me out.
So what were you learning in lessons?
Keys, notes. Was it C, D, E, F?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just learning all that. It's okay, this is C, you know where the keys are. C major, C minor, learn where the keys are, and then start playing them together. And so you're learning what each symbol means and what key that is. Yeah. And so, so then you just start reading along and tracking along and playing. I'm like, this.
Nah, you need to go just a little bit underneath. There's just a little layer underneath. Dude. Yeah. No, it's funny. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole a couple years ago. I was like, I'm gonna fix my child.
It'd be so awesome, having a barbecue, just get out the guitar, a couple beverages, just start playing with your friends. I mean, dude, it gets no better than that.
Have you always been into music?
Yeah, I love music.
What
I'm not
what was
a weirdo.
What was the first favorite? I feel like everyone's got a song where they kind of changed their whole perspective.
Nah, I'm kind of simple when it comes to stuff like that. There's not one song that I'm like, man, that changed my life. Like, I never used to listen to music to have to get pumped up for racing. I was very, very, like, just even keel. Yep, just like, just level. I think that helped me for racing. So, like, when I was doing my documentary, is like,
wait, is that out yet?
Yeah, it's almost done.
Okay, cool.
And you know, like Sam actually Jones is the one who's doing it. And,
dude, he lost his house, eh?
He lost everything in the Palisades. Yeah,
dude,
everything. And the crazy thing, his neighbor's house was there. It doesn't even look like it was touched. It's nuts.
No.
Yeah. But when we were doing the documentary, he's like, tell me what it felt like when, you know, this happened at this race, or, you know, you lost some friends, and like,
I know where you're going with this.
You know? And I'm like, dude, I feel like you're trying. I'm like, it had to bother you. I'm like, like, it didn't really. Like, well, what were you thinking, like, going into this race? I'm like, I wasn't. He's like, come on, dude, you had to feel a certain way. I'm like, no, you think that I should have felt that way based on how you would probably feel, but it really is, he was trying to pull stuff out of me, and I had to apologize to him a couple times. It's like, dude, I didn't think or feel. It was just, you know, and I feel like
that's a huge asset.
It helped me become who I was, because I went there. I worried about myself, especially later on when I started winning, like from 2001 on. I worried about myself and no one else. If those guys were going to beat me, they were going to beat me. I can't control what they do, but what I can do is control what I do. And if seconds is all I have, that's all I have. But it was a perfect second for me. I couldn't have ridden any better. And yeah, so I think that helped my mental game in the sport. I really, really do. And dude, like, no one taught me that.
That's why I'm thinking, like, how does that happen? Because that's the perfect thing.
Only thing that I can think of is like my parents just instilling me in my brain at a young age. Like, I can remember going to amateur races, and I was racing the field, but it was always focus on what you need to do. You know, don't look back. You know, like, try to keep your legs up. You know, like, don't dab them in the corner. Get into the corners as fast as you can. Get out of them. You know, don't crash. If you crash once, don't crash again. Simple stuff
just
like that.
Basics.
Just the basics. And I was never like, okay, man, what's that guy doing? I'm going to try to emulate exactly what he's doing. I'd say, okay, how do I get faster to beat that guy without, like, copying him? So I'm going to just try to be better. This guy's beat me because of this. Sometimes they were beating me because they were better on the track. Sometimes they were beating me because they were better off the track. So I never copied what they did. What I did do was I made myself better based off of how I could challenge them or beat them, if that makes sense. And then if I got beat, then I was like, it is what it is. I have to go work, and I need to be better over here, and this is why I got beat. So it was really that simple. Really, really, really that simple.
Man, that's life. Like, you just described, like, the way you should live life. You know
I think my dad, like, dude, my dad is he's a legend, right? And,
he is a legend.
I mean, you go, bro. Like, I go first time I can walk into any semi. I mean, I can go say Raj, Ian Harrison, you name them, Mitch Payton, anybody that I'd worked with in my day, and there's not two sentences that we will speak to each other to where they will go by and they'll be like, dude, how's your dad doing? Where's Big Rick at? And he's just simple like that, you know, very smart, but just keeps it really simple. It's like, well, dude, you can't control what they do. You can't control what you do. And he always used to tell me, he says, the minute you start worrying about them, they got you beat already.
What's his background?
Nah, dude, nothing. He was an electrician. That was Sparky, as you guys call him.
Yeah.
He was a Sparky.
Did he ever go to the war or anything like that?
No, never did. He kind of like fell like
Skirted
right after that.
Yep.
Right after that, yep. And the draft and all that, it kind of came right after that. So, no, didn't do that. Just he worked at the same electrical contractor company in the state of Florida as my grandfather did, his dad. And yeah, dude, he had 22 years in the company, and then he had a job up in Tallahassee. That's how I ended up in Tallahassee, and still live there. And once that project was over, they wanted to open up a branch up there, and the company's like, nope. And he's like, well, I'm not moving back down to Tampa. And yeah, he quit working and started working for a local electric contractor in Tallahassee. Dude, we lived in a motorhome for 2 years, and it's like moments like that. And now I'm fast forwarding to, that was like when I was 12, 13 years old. So like just seeing that and knowing like he was making some decent money at the time, and knowing that he was going to ride it out, company car, the whole bit. When you see your dad get dropped off in a pickup truck by his boss, and he's got his tool bag, and then the guy drives away with what was his company car, you realize right there, mom's crying, the whole bit. She knew exactly what happened because, he was going to, tell his boss, like, hey, would you consider this? And he did, and ended it right there. So, yeah, all that stuff just helped me.
You remember that? Like,
oh, yeah, I
really
can vivid memory of that. Yep.
That shit leaves a mark as a kid, bro.
Yeah, for me, it was a positive mark, and it was just, I think about this a lot. It's like, well, I don't think about it a lot, but I think about this once in a while now that we're talking about it. Dude, it could have easily not worked out for me.
Mm.
Like that's a hell of a gamble to think about. Like, it's like, did they see something in me that I wasn't seeing? And I think another thing where they helped me, I wouldn't recommend it for other people, depending upon their personality. But, they always had me racing like, hey, you need to go out and win because you might not get sponsored the next year. You might not get. And I raced that way until I probably signed my Honda deal. I'm like, dude, I got to get going, hopefully. So, Mitch will sponsor me, or then Factory Cowie will give me a factory contract. And then when that was done, like I never really felt like secure until I did my Honda deal. And then, then the rest is history.
It's so easy for it to go the other way, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, that from that moment when he got dropped off, like, dude, like, what happens if it doesn't turn out? Then he loses his tenure with a company, and he's basically just making a little bit over minimum wage, And
there's plenty of people in Tallahassee living like that.
There's something to be said for it. I got friends that is making $45,000 a year and live an insane life. They know exactly what they're making. They know exactly what they're doing. And every single week, is it boring? Is it simple? Of course it is. But you know what? Their quality of life is. Years, 5 years before that. And that's what we do. We live our lives. We enjoy our lives. We hang around the people that we want to hang around with. And, my quality of life is so high outside of the keyboard warriors. But I don't like.
Man, I think I got caught in a trap last year the last few years, like, because it's been pretty tough since we left Australia. Yeah. We just moved, like, trying to get here and be based again.
Situated.
It's like a hard process, and we didn't have a house until October last year. So from January 2023 to October last year, pretty much homeless, trying to keep this show on the road, trying to keep the boys paid, it was brutal. And I would have phone calls with my manager, Steve. He's like a really good friend of mine. And I'm like, when I get this, and when I need a truck, and when I get to this place, and when I get my wife a car. And man, I was just living in this place of like, I won't be happy until. I need this. Once I get this, bro, it was exhausting, and I think that's when you're not living the way that you're describing.
Dude, that sucks. I hate that for anyone who would live like that, like chasing it, right? It sucks. You're just in this wheel, and then you're on to the next one. You're on to the next one. And it took me a little bit, Jace, to understand, like, okay, I have to be content with what I've done.
Yeah.
And what I got is what I got. Okay. I'm not racing anymore. I'm stoked with what I accomplished. It provided a great life for me and a lot of others. And dude, I'm stoked. Like, would I love to be flying on PJs again? Of course I was, but of course I would. But dude, I'm 45. Realistically, unless some of my side businesses and opportunities that I have with people like pay off, that probably isn't in my cards, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like, I'm okay to still sit first class on Delta, but dude, the PJ life is gone. So like, I've taken a step back, and I'm stoked with it. And ever since I've started living like that and knowing and being content with what I got, dude, I'm stoked. Because at the end of the day, like, I was having this conversation, with people that have been fortunate, like, for me to get to the next step financially, it's a big jump.
And it's not going to change you to a lot of risk.
It's not, and really, like, what, I don't want to sound like I'm cocky. I'm thankful for what this sport has given me. It would take a lot to make a massive impact on my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And those days are, I think that, being realistic, anything can happen, but those days are gone for me. But I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I live a great life, do a lot of fun things with my kids and my wife and my friends, and like, I'm content with that. I'm not like, then the next thing, the next thing, because I don't ever want to set myself. I don't want to be non-realistic.
Yeah, and I think the secret is, no, it does, and the secret is to want the right thing, because I think, and in the last couple of years, like, the things that I've wanted aren't crazy shit. Like, I want a fucking house to live in, and I want a car for myself to go riding, and like, it's pretty simple.
You don't want your G5 at Orange County Airport?
No. But so it's like, but I noticed the way that when I was just stuck in that headspace of, like, I wasn't happy until I got this and until I ticked this box. And, a lot of people, like the people you're talking about making 45 G's a year, they know what they're making. It's like, if you can want the right things and be stoked with them once you get it, that's the secret to living a good life. Yep. Want the right things that are in your grasp that you can achieve. And when you get them, enjoy it. Be like, savor the moments when you get the things that you do want, and want the right things.
And when you're not, like, so for example, how successful that your podcast has been, like, and with Title 24, like, dude, we're not, like, RV and I, we're not doing it to get rich. It's something that we enjoy to do, and we just want to share
it adds to the sport,
our expertise. We want to give back to a sport that has given us and provided us a great freaking life, right? It really has. And I feel like, and so it's been pretty successful as far as numbers go, and for doing something to where, like, dude, this is your life.
Literally.
Right? And this is how you earn your living. So it'd be like me racing. You have to be on it all the time, where we just kind of put this thing together one day and, like, man, let's do this. And, if it does good, great. But the older I get, when I lower my expectations, that's where I feel like I do better. Like being an analyst. Like, like, I don't have to do it. I enjoy to do it. I'm thankful that I don't have to do it, but I am also very thankful that I have the opportunity to do that and share my knowledge to our viewers. It's not like, oh my gosh, I need to do this because that guy's doing that. I do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that's one of it's probably the perspective that people get wrong.
Oh, yeah.
With you, right? Like,
oh yeah.
I try and say this to people. I'm like,
that don't know me?
Yeah, I'm like, this guy, well, just in general, like, when I just speak to whoever the it is I'm actually talking to. But I say to people like, hey, here's a guy that is the best that has ever done this sport. Not by a little bit, by a metric fuck ton. Okay? So then you've got a guy that made 8 figures in his career, tens of millions of dollars, and who could ride off into the sunset like the Michael Jordans of the world and the Tom Bradys of the world, and he didn't. He's fucking flying every single weekend, 31 times a year.
No, I'm not 30. I'm 23.
All right, 23. 23 times a year. I don't want to sign up for that shit. You know, so it's like what you're putting yourself through as a guy that doesn't need to do it. What does that tell you about this guy? That he is really trying to just give something back to the sport. And you're not going to do it forever. No. This ain't a thing that you're going to be doing when you're 75 years old and they got to fucking rip you out with a hook. It's like you've got a window that you're trying to do this. This is a critical time in the sport's history, I believe. And I think having you in there, the way that James comes in there, like I think this is what has to happen at this time in the sport right now. And when you've got, imagine if Michael Jordan was commentating on NBA games.
Oh, it'd be insane.
You wouldn't give a fuck how polished, how whatever.
He was my childhood hero, by the way.
The man. You had a career like him too. Well, you probably had a career.
I don't know about that, but
dude, the numbers say that.
Yeah, I did. I had some good numbers, but dude,
my point is that I just think people need to keep that perspective in mind. That it's like the reasons you're doing this are very genuine, and I think it's a very important thing for the sport to have this voice at this time. And I think there's like, dude, AC's coming up. Like, there's some great people coming up, and I think that you're the guy right now that should be
appreciate that.
It, you know?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You work really hard at it.
Well, I do. I've had some. I appreciate that. It is frustrating. Like sometimes, like, dude, I don't. I don't have to.
You're like, I don't need to.
I enjoy to do it.
Yeah,
I enjoy to do it. You know, and if my kids were young again, maybe it'd be different when they need more hands on. But dude, they're gonna be adults in March, and I feel like they've laid a great foundation for them and give them great opportunities to, you know, have something to look forward to when they go off to college and all that stuff. And it's like, I just don't want to sit around, and my wife is super supportive of it. She's like, dude, you don't want to just do nothing. Look how it makes you feel when you are in the off season, you know, October to when January comes, you're looking for something to do. Like, go do it. Like, go do it and share that. And I'm like, I love how she's so supportive, and other people in my life are so supportive of it. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? And it hasn't gotten to a stage yet that it's a burden to me. And I do like it giving back, for sure.
And I think so many greats in so many sports are so done by the time they're done.
Yeah.
And they don't have the love for the sport. There's a chip on the shoulder. They're bitter. Something's happened in the sport where it's almost like they've given too much of themselves to the sport. And to look at you that has given everything and done all of the things that you've done, and you've still got the energy and the enthusiasm and the passion to do what you do. And just people don't understand how hard it is to even just do the flying schedule.
It's a challenge. You know, Diffie has helped me out. Lee Diffie has helped me out a ton on my craft in the booth. He's a great mentor to whoever has come in to that booth. He has always been a massive help to people, whether it was me. This is even before we became good friends. I see him working with James. He's worked with James a little bit. And basically everyone, he brings in a tremendous value to the production side of things. I feel like when he's in there, you know, the bar raises just because of who he is and his level that he's at from a play-by-play guy, you know, in all sports. I mean, for crying out loud, he's on the Olympics, Indy 500, you name it, he's got it. But anyhow, and I listened to a lot of people also, like when Ralph was in there, and I've taken taken some stuff from my great friend Imig, just taking little nuggets from each and everybody. But it's been a lot of fun working with Diff. I think that even Weege being in there, I mean, that guy's put in a lot of time, and it's good to see the opportunities that he has. I think like AC coming in, that I think he's going to do great. I think he resonates with the fans, and I like the progression that he's going.
And yeah, I just think it takes a really big group of people to kind of keep it going in that direction.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good. And it's a challenge. Like rarely, like I'll be honest with you, I felt like I didn't perform well at A1. I'm just like, I get so fired up when I don't perform well. People come to me.
Performing well?
So like, that's a great question. So sometimes my energy, there's certain things that I like, okay, I need to nail this. Like if I mess up and on camera, I get so fired up, dude. And like I've been doing it too long to
make a simple mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That if I miss an opportunity to explain why I said, oh, that guy made a mistake, and I didn't follow up with it. Well, this is how he made the mistake, the how and the why. When I miss simple opportunities like that. Certain track designs, like this weekend when they had the back and forths, for me and my experience, those are really tough tracks to give my analysis on, because they are down the short chute in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then by the time you say something, dude, they're off 2 more lanes. So if my timing is off and I don't consider that when I look at the track design, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And I'm like, and everyone's upbeat. I'm like, how was it? You did pretty good, man. Good job. I'm like, nah, that felt like shit, dude. Like, just tell me straight up, because I learned from my mistakes. Not like, hey man, you did really good. No, don't tell me I did good. I want you to tell me everything I did wrong. I don't need a pat on the back. And like I'm mad at myself I had good energy on the opener, but after that, I don't know if because the racing was good, but
not a lot happened,
right? Like it wasn't like a battle back and forth for the lead in both mains. So I'm just like, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
What
do you think we need broadcast wise, like, because there's a lot of challenges to, like, there's no magic wand where you're like, it's way better. Like it's a process, and there's so many things that go into making something like that better. It's so complicated. But is there anything that you wish was better, or like they're actively trying to make better? Because like when you've got a boring race, quote unquote boring race, when there's no battles at the front,
back and forth,
so it's like, okay, how do we make that better?
Manipulate that scenario. I mean, could you imagine a restart? Like, get the field back together. I know for the core audience, that's not ideal. But for me, when it's a boring race, I think it'd be awesome and dude, everyone listening and watching this podcast, I am a dude who would hate that scenario as a racer, right? Yeah. The harder I work, the better I do. I want to crush these guys, and I want a 20-second lead.
Yeah.
Right? So I would hate to bring the pack together. But when you're in that booth, like, I want to see a race. And so, would it be cool if you did that? I love the Triple Crowns.
Yeah.
I really think those are good. I understand from an athlete's point, and again, as a racer, I probably wouldn't like it because the races aren't long enough, right? But we live in a world where the attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So I think more condensed laps or programs would be helpful. And I think that we still need linear TV. I do think that we need that as much as, the streaming is so important, and that's where our demographic is incredible, and everyone does a great job at Peacock and then on the RDL side. But that linear, I still think there's a tremendous amount of value there because we're capturing other eyeballs. So props to that. But like condensing the laps maybe.
I wonder if
I don't know. I don't know.
I've never had this thought before, but instead of a restart, I wonder if they'd have to do like a full course yellow.
Yeah,
instead of just a section where you have to roll the section that you're in. Like if something happens and there's like a medic flag or whatever, it's a full course medic flag.
Yeah, I mean, because that would be awesome. So I'm thinking like this is where the old racer mindset to me. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I got this idea, but like what you're thinking is so like it's just a lot of brain power, And I don't know they don't care about what my idea might be. I don't have that kind of juice or horsepower. But I love the Triple Crowns. I think they're awesome because everyone can go fast for 10 to 12 laps.
Yeah.
Right? I know but on the opposite side, it adds another start, which is more risky. But I don't know. Yeah, so from the safety standpoint, it's kind of like, what do you do?
I know you're a big, obviously, CARDO guy.
Yeah.
What do you think of the race comms?
I think it's silly that
we don't.
Yeah, 100%. You can't tell me. You will never convince me. And I always try to listen to everyone and consider everyone's thoughts. Always. I did that when I was racing because you got Mom over here talking, Eldon over here talking, team manager over here talking, Manfred over here talking, like taking everything in, like mitigating everyone. And I just can't get with the reasons of why they're not using it. And I can think of so many opportunities, more opportunities of where it would have helped dangerous situations as opposed to, putting fuel on the fire and it making the situation worse. There's just no shot because these guys, especially at the top level, the factory riders, they're going to have a good spotter and their spotter is going to know when to talk to the guy and when not.
Please, just for once and for all, what? You're the best of all time.
No.
Please tell the audience listening that it will not fuck you up to have one person say one thing at the right time.
Well,
yeah, please.
It wouldn't mess me up. It wouldn't mess me up because I've used it and I've tried it. And listen, I'm not racing Supercross. But
you won 5 titles.
That's right. I know a guy that won 4 championships in Supercross, and he used it, and he's like, dude, I don't know why I haven't been using this more. Like, well, it's like, you just, it's so easy. I'm pissed that we didn't have it when I was racing because imagine this when you're doing like a race simulation, right? And your riding coach can just say, hey, work this inside the next 5 laps. Or, hey, take this line. Then you can, like, from a practice standpoint, you can practice alternate lines and work on different things rather than doing the whole moto and you come off and then you'd have, I wanted to tell you to, like, hey, go work on that line, on these last 10 laps and let's see how you do. Dude, that would be, I wish I had that.
Think about testing.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Like, how rudimentary is what we do of like, you go in, you go out. You go in, you go out. You ride, you come in. You ride. Oh, yeah, 2 clicks. And to have like guys that don't even know how to test, because that's the thing. There's so many guys that are especially in the 250 class have no idea, never done their own sag, never changed shit, couldn't feel shit. And then you've got a guy like Bones in their ear being like, I want you to feel for balance coming down this hill. Feel where the front end is. Feel if you're high in the rear. I want you to feel front wheel traction here. Like if you have that, you're coaching the testing as well. Like, have you been to an F1 and listened in a quali session?
No.
Dude, it is unbelievable.
Is it?
To hear the engineer, like when Danny was at AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
I went in and it was just a bunch of the races. And in quali and P1, you can sit, like any of the sessions, you sit there and you have his radio with his engineer. And I never understood the sport until I did that. Practice one, you're like, how is he 3 seconds slower than this guy? But they're going, okay, we need 100 miles an hour on the entry of turn 1. Exactly 100 miles an hour. Then they're going through, they're like, turn 14, please go at this speed. All right, 140 miles an hour down the rear straight. DRS open here. DRS open there. Close DRS halfway down the straight. Like, it is so
in depth,
crazy, man.
Tech.
And so, like, the way that they're just like they're working with the drivers and developing the cars and just doing this like race simulations, quality simulations, it is phenomenal. And it made me think, like, we are like just
what are we doing
in the Stone Age? You know what I mean? And like, I know Joey Savacci was running the CARDO at World Supercross, and man, him and his mechanic are talking. And
did he have one way or talk back?
I think he was talk back. Dude.
He was cool.
So he was talking back.
Oh yeah, because CARDO, but you could make them one ways.
Yeah, but so he's like, oh, do I need to do a heater now in quali, or will I have one more lap? And then his mechanic's like, hey, get to the finish line. Like, time's about to expire. So like, even that one last lap quali scenario, like, just
dude,
God.
How about, hey, down right or go to the left on this section? That's simple.
Yeah.
While the guy's in the air, or if you're going down the straightaway, hey, so and so's down. Go to the left. Go to the right. Go to the inside. Go to the outside. What have you? I've tried my hardest to consider the safety factor and what that would be. You know, like, what's the argument on the other side? And I just feel that with technology and how good it is today and the level of people that you would have talking to the riders, that it would be a plus.
Yeah.
Also, it would be an opportunity to possibly get the mechanics off of the track. So you'd have less people on the track.
That's a good point. I've never even really considered that.
Think about some of the areas, you know, where the mechanics are, and if it's a gnarly section or whatever, what if they got out of control? You know, I mean, everyone does a great job of putting the barriers up, but things happen, you know? So I'm like, maybe get less people off the track. And, you know, I've tried to make an argument on that side of things too, but.
And what's the pushback that you get?
I don't know. Like, it's still not proven yet. Something like that, you know. I don't get too in the weeds. You know what I do? Hey, you know what? Like, a lot of these people think that I'm connected and all this stuff. And like, a lot of times I don't even voice my opinion because I know, like, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard to change. So I'm like, why exhaust it? You know, why exhaust my energy on stuff that I know I can't make a positive impact on?
That's why I talk so much shit.
No, you don't.
Because it's just content.
No, you don't.
I just make content out of it.
No, you don't. You don't. I wish they would. I think it'd be awesome. And could you imagine? Then you could let people listen in.
Well,
you don't like that?
Again, that's another thing, right? So think about it from the content perspective. There's nothing happening on the broadcast. So I went at Vegas. I went into the F1 production suite. And I got a tour all the way through the whole production thing. And shout out to Dean, it was like unbelievable. But he's like, all right, so this guy here, he monitors the team radio because there's so much team radio that they won't put out. So there's there's a lot of trust between the team and the production crew that will basically like, okay, they'll get this clip and then they get it ready for the live broadcast. So you have one person that's just monitoring like all of the radio from the team. Like, let's go Anaheim 1. Eli tips over. Maybe Eli gets up in that moment and he's like, shit, all right, how many seconds am I off the lead? You know, just imagine you get that
I don't
audio.
even think, I just say, I think just do it one way, just so it could be proven that it's better, just to where your spotter or mechanic can only talk to you.
Yeah.
So the rider can't talk back.
Well, I think the furthest way to take it, like down the road, is when you can even get it integrated into the broadcast, because I think in those moments where you're saying, nah, the energy's kind of flat, there wasn't that much going on. So then it's like you go, let's go this. Where is something going on?
I'm with you.
Who's got a problem? Barsha might have had something happen, or Malcolm's like asking a question. You're hearing what they said to Jett the 2 times that he crashed. Then what Hunter said the time that he crashed. And now do you know that Honda's got something going on in the rear of the bike? You know, like just
but here's the thing though. I know for me, if I was racing, there is no shot that I would say anything about my bike, because I wouldn't want my competitors to know what is going on with my bike. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't want, like back in my day, whether it's MC, Stu, or Reedy, there ain't no shot I'm complaining on that thing. You know, because I don't want them thinking. So I think that
this generation does though.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, dude, how many people have you ever thought? How many people you think can tighten their chain and feel confident about tightening their chain
in the sport
at SMX? If you went on the 250, and not picking on the 250 guys, we can place bets on the 450. How many 250 guys you think can tighten their chain?
I don't know, man. Like, I reckon RJ Hampshire.
Yeah.
Levi Kitchen probably could.
Yeah.
Bunch of the privateers could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Deegan could. I saw him trying to fix his bike on one of his videos.
You think Joe could?
Nah.
No?
Nah, Joe couldn't take a seat off.
Oh, come on, dude. He could do that.
I don't know. Tightening the chains, like, and being comfortable to ride Supercross with it. That's the kicker, right? I bet a ton of them could tighten their chain. I bet not many of them would go and do a lap of Supercross after they tighten their chain.
How about a torque wrench?
Yeah, I don't know.
Think they know how to do torque wrench? How about 450s? Can Kenny tighten his chain?
Dude, good question. The thing of like riding Supercross after it, that's the one where like, I don't know, that's a huge thing to be confident in.
How about when I was at Honda, like, and the jetting was always off, we had these crappy Mikuni carburetors, and I could never get it like jetted right with the weather and stuff back home. Dude, I was jetting my own bike. Yeah, this is back in the day. This is not uncommon for back then, but yeah, jetting my own stuff. New suspension came. I'm putting all that stuff because I didn't have a practice bike mechanic until my last 2 years. Just me and, So my dad was working. My dad didn't retire. I hired him in the end of 2005.
Wow, that late.
Uh-huh.
So the whole time you were at Honda, you didn't have a practice bike mechanic?
My dad would do stuff once he got home from work, and he'd get it ready for the next day. But if something went wrong during the day, I was the guy. I was a dude, yeah. So, like, we're changing parts, linkages, like sprockets. I say I am during the day.
Who was at the track with you? Your mom?
My mom, and then I had another friend of mine, Terry, that would come with me when my mom couldn't come.
That's
do
wild,
my
dude.
laps and stuff, but so I think that's what's so incredible to me about. I bet Eli could do his chain and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think he could do, right?
Yeah.
So this is what is so fascinating to me is I feel like these guys, this generation, you hand them the bike, and they somewhat adapt to how the bike is. Where in my generation, I feel like we tailored the bike to us.
For sure.
There is no way like I would adjust my riding to how the bike was. There's no shot. I would, if my bike sucked, I would ride it the way that I know how to ride, and I wouldn't try to adapt to it. Maybe that's maybe, I don't know, maybe that's where this generation is better. But so fast forwarding, I feel like the guy that knows more about his bike today could maybe have a little bit of advantage because he would be able to take out the guesswork. That was the crazy thing about Kenny when we were at RCH is those guys, he can ride around a bike that isn't working well. It's pretty incredible, right? He's like, well, it's doing this. I'm like, that thing looks pretty good. But he's adjusting his riding, where us back in the day,
they let it, you'd be,
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
guess what I'm saying is, I still feel like there is a human element today in setting the more they know about their bikes, the less guesswork there will be for the engineers, whether it's ECU guy, whether it's suspension guy, engine guy, chassis, and the less guesswork that you can take away from those guys, the easier it's going to be to hone in on, like, hey, give me this. I need a little bit more of this. Like there were times like I would tell Goose, I'm like, dude, this is back before fuel injection. Like, hey, dude, I need to change the main jet here or the pilot jet here. Actually move the needle position, like one click.
Because you knew what it did.
Yep.
Because you've done it yourself.
That's right.
Well, there's stories of Schumacher where he was like the first, maybe not the first, but he was like a notorious guy in his era where he wouldn't leave the track until the mechanics left the track.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Have you ever watched the Schumacher doco on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
So interesting, dude.
Really?
Like crazy interesting. So he would not leave the track 2 a.m., 3 a.m. He would stay there until the mechanics left because he wanted to know what was happening in his car. And nowadays, so like Danny will be at the track doing a briefing with engineers for like hours and hours and hours, but nothing in the car. All the mechanics are doing what they're doing, and he's in another room with like just engineers, man, just download of like going through data. And so this generation, I'm just sort of thinking as you're talking, like this generation really isn't moving the clicker, changing the sag, changing the linkage, knowing what the bolts are, knowing how the thing works, knowing how it goes in.
Knowing how it works is
it's just a
key.
bit of feedback. If you're the one that's actually putting preload on your fork spring or, like you're doing those things, actually changing the sag, seeing the measurements change, it makes a massive difference to that.
Like fork height. What does that look like?
Tension on the bolts.
Offset, different offsets, different angles, offsets different than angles on the triple clamp side of things. So how does that affect not only the front, what's that going to do to the rear? Oh, you want a bigger sprocket on the rear? All right, well, guess what? The wheel's going forward, so you're going to have different leverage points on the swing arm, so it's going to work good here, but it's not going to work as good over here. You have to know, like, I guess what I'm saying is the more you know that, the more they know that, the more they will be able to understand, like you said, knowing how it works. And if you don't know how it works, it makes it tougher on everyone else. And I feel like there would be a value to a rider the more that they could know.
I know that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I agree. I know that Chad is like that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him jet Tate's bike.
Yeah.
And like just get obsessed
with
like the jetting. And did James know any of that, or was James the first one?
Dude, honestly, that's a good question. So it's funny you say that because I'll never forget. Like Johnny O and I were doing some stuff, getting ready, and I'm like, I always remember Stu's forks were so stiff. I'm like, oh, dude, I got him on, like, he's gonna struggle on this certain track because of that. And not always did it work out that way, but there were a lot of times where just like if he would have considered doing this or maybe known more about this. But he's pretty smart. He's smart. He knows. I think he knows how he likes the bike to feel, or knew how he liked the bike to feel. How we got there, like less oil here, change the sim stack here, blah blah blah. Like I don't know. I'll ask him though.
Be interesting to know.
Yeah.
The podcast is brought to you by the CARDO Systems Pack Talk Edge, the king of rider-to-rider communication. I've been using the CARDO Pack Talk Edge since it was introduced in 2022. First on a ride through Vietnam, and then on adventure to the tip of Australia. And now I've just received the second generation of the Pack Talk with a host of upgrades that make this a must-use product for any kind of riding. With updated Bluetooth 5.2, new 40mm JBL speakers, magnetic mounting, and the updated DMC mode that gives you the ultimate connection for larger groups of riders without the need to reconnect a rider every time you go out of range. For me, the Pack Talk Edge really is a must-have accessory for your bike. I use this thing trail riding, on adventure rides, and if you combine it with the Pack Talk Edge phones, you can completely transform your coaching sessions, your training sessions, or you can be like Joey Savacci and his mechanic at WSX, who use these bad boys to communicate through practice and qualifying. For more information on the CARDO Pack Talk Edge, follow the link in the description below.
It's crazy. I told him this, and we have these off air and stuff. We're always hanging out and talking, and I told him, like, dude, he would think so much. Great example is this. He's like, dude, you probably hated it back in the day, like when there would be, the track would be too wet and they would abbreviate practice, right? I'm like, no, dude, I love that. He's like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, I didn't want everyone to have more time on the track because then it'd give them more opportunity and time to get their bike worked out and the track sorted out. He's like, dude, I could have swore that. I'm like, no, man.
So he was like really trying to
I wish I knew how much he analyzed me and everything else when I was racing. It definitely would have helped me maybe be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I would have, I probably wouldn't have fretted as much. I'm like, I hope he doesn't beat me. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's going to be good. If I knew what he was thinking and was thinking that much or analyzing that much, I would have rested easy because I'm like, he's probably thinking I'm sucking tonight, but I actually feel really comfortable.
So you, and I get what you're saying. So you went your career against him thinking that he was this like super confident, unfallible, didn't give a fuck what you were doing, and 100%. He was just on.
Yeah,
100%. And in reality, he was thinking, he thought you were that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I always knew that I couldn't beat him on speed often, especially Supercross. Like, honestly, dude, I don't know that I've ever beat him straight up in a Supercross where he didn't fall or get a really bad start. Like, just like motocross, like it was no shot. Like, I knew that I could handle him, for the most part. Not sometimes he would get the best of me, but Supercross, once he figured it out, I was like, I'm going to have to win on a technicality, And I knew that 100%. Like, but that was part of it, you know what I mean? But rarely did he make mistakes, Where
was he so much better in Supercross?
Whoop entry, he was good. He was good everywhere, dude. He was good everywhere. Like, yeah, he ain't even, like, there wasn't.
What do you think
I'm trying
to
think. I mean, well, it's just a new generation, dude. It's like each generation, I think the bar gets stepped up.
It was like a bit of McGrath Stanton, but not as drastic, I don't think.
No. I feel like when I retired, I feel like James wasn't as engaged when I retired, when I left racing. It's weird. I don't know why, because I feel like he could have swept up, dude.
Oh, wait. He was racing Tim Ferry and Cody Cooper.
It's just like, it's so weird, like, I don't know. I always felt like when I retired, a part of him retired. Someone told his dad said that one time. And I'm like, I don't know. I need to ask Big James. But we had a lot of fun. I always tell everyone, always asks me, dude, what's the funnest race you ever had? And my last Supercross in 07 in Orlando, just because the level that him and I were riding at.
Yeah, bring it up.
Yeah, it was Supercross 2007. I mean, just the level that we were riding at, like, I felt like I did a perfect race. I couldn't have ridden any better. Kind of felt bad for Chad here. I always felt bad for Chad, too, because when it was Stu and I always felt like it was
Stu and I.
me and him versus Chad. Like, Chad was kind of singled out. I think if I could have went faster in the whoops that night, I would have bettered myself a chance to win. But I didn't have that. I didn't have it.
I just think it was so crazy. We were talking about this the other day. We had AC and MC. We rewatched Anaheim together, and we were talking about you guys, and they're just like, man, how did he just quit in the middle of that season the way that he did?
Oh, this. Dude, because
you were done.
I knew what I was gonna do. Yeah, yeah. I felt bad. Like Raj was like, "Are you sure, RC? Are you sure?" I'm like, I just knew, like, I knew the inevitable was happening, and I wasn't willing to risk the speed to go into those whoops that fast. You know, I just wasn't. You know, and like I knew eventually it was coming. And someone asked me, like, "Does Eli keep going?" And I'm like, I think it depends on what he learns this season, and is he going to be willing, if the speed and the pace is that much gnarlier, and they're doing and taking risks that maybe he doesn't want to take and doesn't have to take in where he's at in his career, maybe that's what makes him decide if he wants to race next year or not. Who knows? I don't know. I need to ask him that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I wonder.
But I think it. You think he goes another year or no?
Supercross. I could see it. I think if he wins a few races.
Dude, that's so bizarre to me. You know why? Because if I was going to do that, like, I would have been like, oh, I'm not going to do full Supercross. I'll do full outdoor.
Yeah, that's because it's a bit of an easier lift. The less
it's
risk.
So like, yeah, it's nuts.
But even he said, like, look at these two out front. Absolute sickos.
There's old Big Rick.
God, he's such a dude. I
mean, you want to go on a boat and have some cold beers,
some Miller Lite.
That's the guy you want to go with, right? I love hanging out with my dad. He's like my friend half the time. He was just in Colorado with me. I'm like, hey, Dad, come out and hang out with me. While the kids, because the kids were on their own like little trip, I skied with them during the days. So I'm like,
because they were doing the school thing.
Yeah, that's right. But this was an epic race.
And this was one of the most.
And look at where Reedy's at, dude. He was leading, and then we just.
Where were you guys so much faster than Chad? Do you think?
I don't think Chad's bike was good that year.
Okay.
But so just all the little.
It's just
little bit, like a half a tenth here, half a tenth percenters here. You add that up, and then now you're looking at 3 or 4 tenths. You know, which is massive.
God, this is just the Fox era.
See, when I watch this though, like I feel like Stu's like just playing with me right here. You know what I mean? Like he can go blowing by me. Like I was riding my limit. I couldn't have ridden any harder because if I did, I would get pumped up. But I feel like he could have blown by me at any stage right here. I need to ask him. I've never asked him that, actually.
Dude, imagine you two doing the podcast.
Yeah.
That would be
that'd
sick.
Be cool.
Do you think his bike was better? Like, do you think the bikes were a factor at all?
I mean, look at that.
Dude. Bro, didn't give...
Now, he's full... There was... That was not planned. I love it, dude. But, I don't know. I feel like in some areas his bike was... Oh, no, his bike was... You know, I do feel like his engine, like when I was behind him, I really learned it in outdoors this year. But, like, yeah, his had a little bit more better bottom end than mine, it seemed like. But I think maybe did he use first gear more? I was never going to use first gear.
Eli said he uses a lot of first gear.
A lot of the dudes do now, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, this is just a battle, you boys.
Yeah, so that was my favorite race
ever.
Pretty much. just because the level that we were riding at, and it felt effortless. But I knew that there was nothing more that I could do to get the dub on that. Would have been awesome. Could you imagine? Like,
Last
I had
race.
a pretty good career and ended it on a high note. But man, to win that last Supercross, that would have been cool.
Were you like, you're obviously happy to retire. I'm sure just that it was like a relief.
Yeah,
Like
I would
the weight
mentally.
was, like mentally, but was there a party that was glad that the sport was going to a good place in a way?
Well,
you
I
know?
knew that it was going to be in a good place. Yeah, I was pumped. Like, you got Stu coming up, and then RV was in the pipeline. And the Dungees. I mean, it was in a really, really good spot, for sure, 100%. I was done though, man, mentally. But at the time, like, and I wasn't ever chasing McGrath's records. I knew I wasn't going to be able to. I wasn't going to beat that. Because at this stage, I was only probably winning, 5 to 7 max Supercross races in a season. So I'm like, I'm not going to hang around that long. And I knew my time was up, So.
Because I feel like you could have kept going.
I could have,
Like,
but dude, I
especially-
didn't. I got tired of relying, especially Supercross. I got tired of relying on that knucklehead, like, having to crash for me to beat him, And I wasn't willing to take risks. Like, he got the best of me at Atlanta Supercross, and it was like some gnarly, like, 3-footer over a backside of a tabletop. This tabletop was so steep, and I catch up to him, and then he'd do that, and I'm like, I told myself, I said, I'm just not doing that, because if I clip that tabletop, it's over. And so I knew that
you can't have that
I
in your
just I just had a feeling that I was going to be in that position. I'm like, I got plenty of cheddar. I've done more than I ever thought that I would ever do. Like, and I still look back and I'm like, honestly, I could have kept getting paid, like you're saying, and racing and ridden it out and made a lot of money. But the money that I would have made wouldn't have impacted my lifestyle enough to be unhappy and go into the races and not feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
When you say it like that, it is a simple.
Yeah, but straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my way of thinking.
Do you think then that there's a few guys that are probably going to be faced with that decision because of Jett, if Jett does what he can do?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a pivotal year in the sport.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is different because, and I agree with you, it is pivotal. If they're not battling for championships, the mindset is different. If they're just battling for wins, I feel it changes your approach. Like, you're okay to ride it out because okay, probably not winning the championship. But on a good night, if the track is good and I'm comfortable and I still have the speed, and a lot of these guys, they still have the speed to win on certain nights. But if from a championship mindset, I think that's where it differentiates. Make sense?
Yeah. What is the difference between a championship mindset and a race winning mindset?
Well, championship, you have to be there every single weekend contending for wins.
And so what do you have to be different as an athlete to get to that level?
I wonder that a lot. I think there's certain things that you can't teach.
It's probably the intangibles, right?
Not, the mentality of not, being able, RV and I talk about this, being able to compartmentalize everything. Where is this guy good?
Numbness.
Exact that I have. It's like, I wish I could sit here and tell you something super gnarly. Like, as I'm talking to you, I'm like, dude, these people like listening to this are probably going to hate it and they're going to want something juicy and some gnarly story. But although I was super detailed and I can get in the weeds and definitely do some deep thinking, but I tried to make it as simple as possible and just do me. And that's it. And I think that like going back to Chase, I think the minute that he quits overanalyzing and focusing on one guy and just himself, you just go out and you race and let it come to you. I think that he'd be tougher to beat for everybody.
There is something about that numbness. Like when I've never once been nervous for a podcast ever. At any point in my life, the SMX thing, like being on stage, whether it's live, whether it's here, I've never met anybody that's made me nervous. Like
Oh, really? I have.
Never in my life. And I just think maybe like that I think lets me do this job a lot easier. And I see other people, like, I mean, there's people get in the press conference and their voice gets shaky and shit, you know, and it's like, it's just a Supercross press conference. So it's like there is something to being able to just be like numb to doing a certain thing. And I know people that can do, like, fighters, like professional mixed martial arts, they're about to get in a cage and like,
dude,
fight.
I don't know how that.
And they're just numb. Like, so there is a thing to just like that level of numbness that you can get in whatever it is that you're trying to. And yeah, I don't think you can teach that. I don't think you can. And I realized that when I was younger and filming that there's no one I met that ever made me feel different it's funny, like my wife's like, are you nervous for this? Are you nervous? No. like never.
That's
and there's
awesome.
got to be something to you know what I mean?
Like for me, like when we're doing
if you're
Title 24, like it's tough. Like I have a hard time asking questions and stuff, dude. I'd be the first person to bring out my faults and where I suck at. Like it's tough for me to conduct an interview for some reason. I don't know if it's because maybe I know what the answer is going to be. And like I always tell Will Christian this. It's like when she asks the questions, she gets beat up a lot on social media for no good reason.
Which is crazy, dude.
Yeah, she does a great job.
She's
no
awesome.
one ever competing against. Like she genuinely wants to know and doesn't know the answer.
Huh.
So that's why, like, when she asks some questions, I'm like, man, that was really good because she genuinely wants to know. And like maybe for you, maybe you don't. Like I feel like when you're asking me questions, certain stuff, like when it comes to business and behind the radar stuff, you know a lot, already know the answers. But I think that's when you're doing your podcast that you truly, genuinely want to know this about this guy. And it's like, dude, what about this, man? Does that,
Yeah. I just relating back to your racing though, like for you to be able to just like find that level of equanimity, like just, it's almost like dead inside, like, and I think that, I wonder if it was
I'm not like
emotional in that sense. Yeah. And I wonder, because Weege was talking to me the other day and he was like, he's the fucking best. I just love that guy so much.
I enjoy being in the
presence
in the
of that
booth
person.
with Weege. I appreciate, his progression and where he's came, like in the trenches, this dude. And I always feel bad because I'm like, well, I got to, I'm great friends with Lee, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a tremendous amount of respect for Weege. I think Weege does a great job. And it's like, man, like, but yeah, he's, go ahead, tell your story about Weege.
Yeah, no, he was basically just saying like, it was just like a bit of a nice congratulations-y sort of thing. Like, did you think about this? Did you ever think this? And I'm like, nope, didn't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't give a fuck. Just like, it feels like dead to certain things. But then when you think about it, you're like, maybe that's why you can do this thing.
Right.
And I just think in the way that you're talking about racing, it's like, don't give a fuck. Dead inside.
What is worrying about it going to do? Right.
And did you ever, like, as you started to become the man and you started to make all the money and did you even think about that side of things?
I did. I did in 99 and 2000. I think I got cocky a little bit and was worried about money and all that. And like, I went after hitting the deck so much in 99 and not as much in 2000, but like going into the outdoor in 2000, I'm like, dude, I got to get my straight. And that's when I quit worrying about everything, and I just quit. I just started like, it's all about getting the results. I've been a winner my whole life. You're getting off course. Let's get on with the program.
What did off course look like for you?
I mean, just not being focused and not doing everything that I needed to be doing off of the track. You know, whether it be cardio, strength training, dieting. The hardest thing for me ever, and still to this day, is diet. Diet is the hardest thing. Dude, I will work out with you. I would do whatever. And that is the biggest thing, again, to this day that I still struggle with is my diet. It takes a serious amount of commitment for me to stay on the grind and stay committed to dieting. And I fall off quite a bit. But I've always been that way. But at the same time, I feel because that's been so hard, it created a sense of discipline and just another layer
in
of discipline.
Other levels.
That's right. Like, so being disciplined on this helped me be more disciplined over here.
Mm.
Yeah. I think I have the world's slowest metabolism.
I was about to say, I think that you're probably a mix of loving Southern food and growing up in the place that you did and barbecue and like Big Rick just being a Tallahassee electrician that wanted to come home to a good feed. And also like it's a metabolism. Like you're just a body type, body shape. And you mix those two things together and you got yourself a fat kid.
I mean, dude, my son, he doesn't have the best diet, but the dude is a rail. I'm like, you know how lucky you are? You know what I mean? So sometimes I'm like, dude, you got to start eating better. I know like you're skinny and all this stuff, but what you're putting in your body is not good. Like you just can't have cups of Reese cup. You can't have handfuls of Reese cups, you know, like.
Bro, I ate half a block of chocolate a night my whole 20s. It was so bad,
dude,
bro.
it's gnarly. It's gnarly.
Yeah,
but it helped. I do feel like certain things like that helped me in the long run. But going back to my career and like buckling down and getting right off the track and doing the work and not pretending like I was doing the work, those little things made a massive, massive impact. And I've tried to tell people that, like, just the small things that you think wouldn't make a difference, they do at this level. You know, staying committed to your diet, or, you know, hey, don't go play golf this afternoon because you need to, although you don't feel like you're exerting energy, you need to be ready to go 100%. The more rested and ready you are to explode on the next day for training, the more you're going to get out of that training, in my opinion. And then they'll say, well, I got to have fun. And some of it's a mindset, you know. I wasn't like that. I'm like, I'll have fun now, you know.
Yeah. What about when you started making bunch of money? Like, because I can imagine.
I wasn't even worried about it because I was just off to the next one.
Really?
Like, yeah. When I did the Honda deal, that's when it like went up, you know, into the, you know, millions. And at that stage, you're in the grind. I was in the peak of my career at the elite level, and it's just like on to the next. You know,
so
like,
just never.
I gotta win. I wasn't worried about it. You know, I was like, if I didn't win, I wasn't like, damn it, I lost money.
Yeah.
I was more pissed that I didn't maximize my points.
Yeah.
You know,
which I'm sure when you come from nothing. Like, I always wondered how that is for people that come from nothing. Because I just know that money was like a big thing in my life, like just because we didn't have any growing up. And I was just, I was like way too focused on money. And I blamed a lot of the negative things in my life for not having enough money. So I always wondered like what that does to somebody that comes into money at the level that you guys do.
For me, I think I use debt motivation as kind of like a grind tool, if you will, and like knowing like not living in debt, but not having a lot of money, I never wanted to go back to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, dude, there is no if I go to a hotel or I'm staying somewhere, I'm not staying in a camper. You know, like my wife's like, you ever want to go like camping? I'm like, nope, there is no shot. There's going to be air conditioner and there's going to be hot water. And not that I couldn't do it, but I'm like, I've paid my dues as far as that. But yeah, just knowing I don't want to live like that. I want to have a better life for myself.
So you're talking like Tallahassee summer in a motorhome for years.
Dude, like taking a shower, turn it on, rinse yourself off, turn the water back on. You had not even 3-gallon hot water tank. And like, well, I'm definitely not going back to that.
God.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, I'm not blind to the fact that a lot of kids grow up in tough situations. So it's not just me.
No.
Dude, luckily for me, I made it.
Yeah.
That's all. But yeah, I didn't want to live that life again.
I had actually no idea that you lived in a trailer.
Yeah,
for
for
years.
like 2 years, I think. Year and a half, 2 years.
God, that's some crazy motivation.
Yeah. It was crazy. Home was where the outlet was, we always talked about. So you drive your motor home, we plug in, there's an electrical outlet. We're home.
Beautiful. Let's go.
If we didn't have to run the generator, that was like,
living.
guy, we're big time. Big time.
That's
right. That's right.
Did it feel good for you, like the parent side of things, though? I'm sure, like, once you started making money, like, obviously they weren't living in
I was
a
more
trailer
happy
anymore.
for them
Yeah.
than I was myself, straight up, because they're the ones that had sacrificed everything. So I was really excited for them. Even like when I went to Suzuki, same kind of feeling. Like I was more happy for the whole crew there and the brand than I was myself, because at that stage I had done it all. You know, I had accomplished my goals and wanted to win a Supercross championship and championships, and I did that. So it was just like I was more happy for them.
Going back to the very start of the conversation. That's the thing I'm trying to get across in all this. I'm like, if you actually knew this dude,
Yeah.
like you would realize how cool he is to other people. And it's just rare in an athlete, though, right?
I'm not
Because,
cool to everybody, but I can tell that they're not cool to me. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that.
But
know?
You're more happy for your parents. You're more happy
Yeah.
for Suzuki. Like because when you're an athlete that was so dominant in your sport,
I was selfish. I was a
level
selfish
of
athlete,
selfishness, but you have to be selfish. I feel that in business.
Yeah.
You know, I just think to achieve anything at a really high level, it just takes so much, and there's so much selfishness that you have to have. But then to not let that consume all of your life, that I can imagine that being quite a hard thing.
Yeah, I could turn it off. I could turn it off, actually. And you know what? Like, another thing going back, like, dude, my cousins, both of my cousins, they were in accidents, and you know, and they were life altering accidents, you know. And I grew up in that environment, you know, since I was 1 year old, and my mom and my parents, my family taught me compassion towards people that may have been in challenging situations. And so I grew up in something like that. And if I ever made fun or even thought about it, dude, they would have my ass, you know? And so that just, like, a lot of people don't know that about me. And so also I'm quiet at the races, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these people, dude, when I'm done with my TV stuff, and like when Triumph and all these people are ready to get rid of me, I'm not going to see them again. So, like, it's not that I don't appreciate them, but I'm not just going to go waste breath if they don't feel like messing with me. Doesn't mean that I don't like them, you know, but I'm a very compassionate person. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Yeah.
The Triumph thing has been cool.
Triumph's been awesome. That's been a really fun project to be kind of from the brand corporate side of things. and being able to have the opportunity to build something from the ground up. I mean, like anything, it has its challenges, and nothing ever goes as fast as you want. But the level of commitment they've had it's been tremendous. It really, really has.
So, what has your role been there?
I wouldn't say like a GM, but almost like somewhat and some ambassador stuff, but like an advisor. Yeah. Almost like, hey, like check this guy out, or hey, let's consider this, just with the knowledge that I have from racing and, having a team with Carey Hart and knowing what has worked in the past, what doesn't work in the past, and listen, I'm not the smartest guy. There's no doubt, but I do have some experience, and I've worked with some great people along the way that hopefully can share them with a brand like Triumph.
Yeah. It's huge for the sport.
Well, it's an iconic brand.
Yeah.
I love it. For where I'm at in my life, I feel like my position there, I can make a positive impact for the brand, for people that want to work there, for people that, for riders that want to race there, like create a culture and have really good product on the showroom floors. So, it's awesome. And I'm humbled to work with a company as iconic as that brand.
Yeah, and
it's been fun.
They got the adventure bike side, they got the motocross side, and it's definitely a big thing.
That's right. Yeah, it's a bigger picture and something that I can continue to do. And again, make a positive impact. Yeah. That's all I want to do.
It was so sick seeing Ducati in the pits too.
Yeah. Dude, I think it's great. It shows the strength of the industry. And we're in a great spot, and a lot of that is for everyone's credit to everyone's hard work, whether it's something like you do, what we do on the broadcast side, what Feld does. I mean, everyone's working their tail off, sacrificing a lot of time, money to grow the sport.
No, I think. Couldn't agree more. Hey, I want to ask one thing. Like, before I forget, there's one thing.
Yeah.
Because I always forget some shit in an interview, and I never want to forget this one. Can you please pull up the 2000 and maybe 02 or 03 CR250? I really need to know what's going on with these handlebars. Do you, when you look at this?
No, I know what it looks like. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
No, we need a photo first. That video though is so sick. We will watch that after. When you were talking about you'd just ride your style no matter what, and you just like make the bike work. Like, what was doing with these handlebars? You know how many people? Yeah, that's a good one there. I think get that thing full screen.
You like that,
brother?
You know what's crazy? So when you look at that, I want you to take a moment, okay? I want you to take a moment, but look how high the bars are compared to where the lowest part of the seat is. So I had to roll them back. Imagine if I had them up, like just level with the forks. Imagine how high it would have been. Trust me, I didn't like that. But
what did that do to the motorcycle?
It didn't do anything. I thought it made it turn better, actually. I felt more comfortable, especially in the flat corners and stuff like that. It didn't. I'm sure it had some negative effect on it, but it had a positive effect too. You know what the positive effect was? I was comfortable with him like that, and it made the throttle go. Right? Yeah. So...
Oh, I love that, dude.
That you love it.
I love that.
Why do you like it? Why?
No
dude, look at those things.
No one does anything like that anymore.
Dude, that's
pathetic. That's the last time some crazy shit ever got done on a motorcycle.
Look at that, dude. That's pathetic.
That's one of the sexiest bikes of all time, though. You think?
It was good, yeah. It was sexy.
Just the red... The show up, dude. I had like pictures of that on my wall. That bike, that was it.
It's like got good curbside appeal.
It does.
Curbside appeal.
It really does.
Yeah, that was a good bike. It was short lived though, because that whole electronic power valve system that they had.
They should have never
I think you talked
with
with
that.
Lars about it, right? It was, yeah. So I remember leading up to the 2004 Supercross Championship, or Supercross season. It's like early September, mid-September, and we were trying to like figure this thing out going into 2004. And they had the 4-stroke there that afternoon, and they had flown the big boss over from Japan. And I remember Osho was there and quizzing the guy and telling him what we needed and what we're looking for, blah, blah, blah. And he just basically told Johnny, he's like, we're never going to be able to get the engine the way that you want it. If you want to have that style of power, low RPM pickup and responsive like the YZ, you should probably consider racing the 4-stroke, because that will give you the power that you want. Really good low-end torque, responsive. And so I rode the 450 in the afternoon, and it was awesome, dude, like instantly. And I know the conditions were more favored for the 4-stroke out here.
Yeah.
But it was like I was a second and a half faster. Yeah, it was good. It was awesome. So that was on a Friday. Everybody did an audible. We're like, all right, I was supposed to go home. Did an audible. Hey, we're going to meeting up at Castillo Ranch on Monday, and we're going to start testing on the 450 because we didn't want anyone to know. And I went out there, made some laps, and my knee popped out in midair. I pulled off, and they didn't even know my ACL was torn. I was going to try to just limp it through, get a Supercross championship, and then not race 2004 outdoors. And this happened. Actually, the story I'm telling you happened right before Thanksgiving, so it was mid-November.
No way. That was going to be my next question, was like when you actually did your knee.
That was mid-November.
So had you done your ACL before that?
I did my ACL the beginning of September, yeah.
Did they know that?
Nope, they didn't know.
Man, how different the history books look if you raced that season and skipped outdoors. That summer made me love motocross.
Really?
More than anything ever.
You know what's crazy is like those times that I went undefeated. Dude, I never even like planned to go undefeated. Like, who the hell does that? Like, I never said no. I'm like, it was like one race at a time. I need to be here, here, here. I had these certain markers where I wanted to be throughout the season, but I never got too far ahead of myself. But like each weekend, I'm like, well, going into the weekend, I'm like, well, this weekend could be the weekend that I don't win. Maybe some dude figures it out, but I'm going to go there and not fall, get a good start, put myself in good positions, blah, 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 that race strategy BS. And it just ended up going that way.
How much motivation did you have for that outdoor season because of the knee? You watched Chad win, and then there's like the chatter that, he won't be able to come back. Like, I remember, because this was back in the day, like I was the kid that I knew the day.
This is before we met.
Way before. Yeah, I would know the day that Racer X came out and hit the newsstands.
Right.
And I would ride my BMX bike and I would sit in the back of the news agency and I would read the articles. And you'd read like, Ricky Carmichael, like he's going to struggle to come back from the knee injury. Like it's, Chad Reed's going to be the guy. Like, was there even any of that motivation coming from that, or it just nothing changed?
That is a great question. I love how you do your homework. So it's like, you think about that process and what that was like for me. That was a bittersweet one because I knew how good that CRF 450 was. And to this day, it was one of the best bikes that I ever raced at the professional level. And I knew I was leaving it, going to Suzuki, and I didn't get to ride the Suzuki before I signed because my knee was still banged up. So, and then like Suzuki put a drop date to where like if you don't sign a contract, we're pulling it. I'm like, dude, like I just love to ride. So like I was paying attention. I talked And I knew kind of like the engine package they had, and I was listening, watching, and compared to the YZ, it was really close. I knew if I could just be on something similar to what Chad was on, I'd have a really good shot of beating him, if everything worked out right, based on what I think I was lacking in 2003. So anyhow, yeah, like that season was kind of a blur, the 2004 MX championship, just because I was obviously focused on winning that championship. But it wasn't like a redemption tour or anything like that. It was like, okay, let's get this championship. And then I was already focused on 2005.
Because for me as a kid, I looked at that, and obviously like being Aussie too, like we were cheering on Chad Reed.
Yeah.
But I looked at that and I was like, this guy is a bad motherfucker. Like everyone's saying that he's done and won't be able to come back from the knee.
Sea Biscuit.
Dude, that Fox gear. There was a cover of Racer X, and it was a front and a back. I'm pretty sure it was a Fox out on the back.
Yeah.
But there was you on the cover from the front at Hangtown in the Sea Biscuit gear, and then on the back there was the backside of that shot. Yeah. And I will net that cover and that race, and that is just burned into my brain.
That was childhood. Almost the Seabiscuit was kind of directed towards not the people that I was working with on the daily at Honda, but like, yeah, I was, yeah, like that how that whole Honda deal went down. It was a bummer. We've talked about it a million times, but like, I'll never forget where I was, and you probably have heard this story when Suzuki gave me the
again.
Yeah, so. Like my manager asked me, he's like, well, Honda was dragging their feet on my in 2003. Yeah, like October or something like that. So like December comes, I'm like, well, now I'm banged up, so maybe they don't, they don't see much value in me. So anyhow, they end up giving me my offer, not what I wanted. And then they put some language in the contract to where it didn't give me as much freedom as far as licensing and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it was actually, and then an injury clause, which I didn't have an injury clause in the first one. So really, I was taking a demotion. I was still willing to ride for them. I don't know, it might have been like 2.3 a year or something like that, 2.6 something. And my manager asks me, would you be interested in riding a Suzuki? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. And keep in mind now, I've ridden the CRF 250 right when I had my injury at Castillo. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. He says, well, what would it take? I'm like, just the thought of it, I don't know. I could give me a couple days to wrap my head around it. Like, what's that look like? And blah, blah, blah. And he's like, calls me a couple days later. He's like, have you had any time to think about it? I said, yeah, I have. I said, I don't know. Like, he says, what if I asked him for $5 million a year for 3 years? $5 million. I'm like, I said, dude, you are crazy. There's no shot that that's happening. And we're sitting there and, still negotiating with Honda. And then I was at Atlanta Supercross. I was going to a Honda rider dealer signing. And my manager calls me, says, hey, you want the good news or the bad news? And I'm like, well, I'll take the bad news first. He's like, there is no bad news. The good news is Suzuki basically said they'll give you $4.7 a year annually. No injury clause. Because I told him, no, I didn't want race win bonuses. I only did championship bonuses, Supercross and Motocross. And yeah, so 3 years, and then you're on your third year. They'll give you the option if you want to race part time. But this offer expires within 3 or 4 days, and I was so hoping at the time they wouldn't agree to what he was asking, because I always had parameters, right? Like, okay, what what makes a massive dent in, you know, in the wallet and your future and what that looks for. And so I had it all like done out. I'd sat down in the next 2 or 3 days and it did the math. I'm like, all right, dude, if I win this much and I win these championships on the Honda, I'll make the same or maybe a skosh more than what I would make on Suzuki. But if I get hurt, then the injury cause, you know, they could exercise that. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to have to, there's no guarantee that I can win these amount of races in case somebody like really steps it up. And Chad was always already riding good. I knew Bubs was in the pipeline. And yeah, it just came to a stage where I'm like, dude, I don't want to have to be racing for the money, like to make up for the money that I might lose. Like it's going to put me in a desperate situation, even though I didn't race for. Sounds contradicting.
No,
but
no, no.
I
know.
feel you know what you're
exactly
saying. You know, like I didn't want to be on
saying.
I didn't want to have to be there on the track, thinking I got to make up something on the back end.
It's it's just another thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Like you signed the Suzuki deal, and all you need to do is what you've always done, which is just think
Go out
about
and race.
yourself. Think about myself.
Yeah, I didn't. I did no bonuses. Race
What was the
bonus.
champ bonus?
I think it was 500 for Supercross, 500 for outdoor.
Oh, cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. Cheap.
I never
Still
knew
good
that.
money.
Yeah, I mean, still good money, but now it's a mil 5. Like it's escalated.
I did. It was a mill at Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago to get that. I was very, very fortunate. I mean, for you know, I was paid well. I just came up through a good time. I had no control of when I was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I took advantage of it in a positive way and won a lot of races. And that was kind of my motto. Like that was how my parents and them raised me. And like, you go out and win, and the money will come. Go win, and let the win and do the talking.
Yeah.
So sometimes I look back, I'm like, I really admire what Pastrana did and how he was, and way more engaging with the fans than I was, and MC also. But like for me and how I needed to get the best results, I had to be super ultra focused.
Yeah, well, like you said, you feel like you're probably overcoming a talent deficit.
Yeah, totally, 100%, without a doubt.
There's only 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's right. So it was good, dude. I'm super thankful. I look back and overall, like my overall career and the support that I've had and the people that I've been around, I've made some incredible relationships in this industry. I am super, super thankful. I'm in a position where like we already talked about, I don't have to do what I'm doing. I do it because I enjoy it, and I enjoy sharing my knowledge. And overall, I've had a great career and have been, I hopefully respected by most. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, no. Well, it's one of those things where you can't have a career as long as what you've had, and you can't do the things that you've done over this period of time without there being like an undercurrent of a good dude there. You know, like people just won't work with you. We've seen plenty of people that aren't in the industry at all.
You know,
people from your era that aren't around.
One thing that I did, and you could go fact check if you want, but I took really good care of most of the people that I worked with within the team that I never had to do, but I did it because of my appreciation for them. Whether it was bonuses, there's a lot of times thank you. And so, you got to take, I'm a firm believer, you have to take care of the people that take care of you, you know, like, so, and yeah, I mean, I would hope that I don't feel like any team that I rode for that I couldn't go back to that team and just ride for them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Suzuki chapter had to feel pretty good, though.
It did. The Suzuki chapter felt awesome. It really, really did. You know who I was bummed the most for is the guys in the shop at Honda.
Yeah.
That's who I was most bummed about, because it wasn't their decision. You know what I mean? Guys you work with day in and day out. was cool to hear when you had Lars on there, because Lars was there for that. You know.
Yeah, it's wild that Honda made that call. They've done it to so many people too.
Yeah, it worked out though. Honestly, it worked out. I had a great tenure at Suzuki. It was a great relationship for sure. The bike was good.
Oh,
I had a lot
2005 RM 250.
That thing just ripped.
I got a mate at home. His name's JB, and he is obsessed with RM.
He likes it.
Oh, he's going to froth this conversation, bro. Yeah. He's got like, I mean, he has probably like 4 of them.
Dude, I could just sit there and just rev it. Just sit there on the top of the jumps, test track, warming up, just loving it.
Such a sick
I wish people like that don't know me could have been around me like when the Japanese engineers would come. Dude, we would have so much fun with those guys. Oh, dude. One time I took a rear tire inner tube and I cut it in half and I put it on their exhaust pipe of their rental car, right? And zip tied it and then tied the other end up in a knot and tucked it up into the bumper of their rental car. And like, as they were leaving for the day, I was like stopped and I was like talking to him and I could see like, as this thing is inflating, dude, the tube was probably that big, bro. And so I started like backing away because I'm like, this thing's gonna explode. And dude, it exploded. It blew the bumper off. They put the car in park, jumped out of the car. So then like the next 3 days, dude, when we'd leave the track, they'd be surveying their car to make sure that they didn't do anything. I remember one time me and Tedesco, we would like sometimes when we'd be doing our testing and the engineers would be there and like I'd talk really fast on purpose, just messing with them. And they'd be looking, they're like, RC. I said, you understand? No. It was so much fun. And then I'm like, I'm just playing with you guys. And so I would tell them, or we had so much fun back in the days. Me, Fonz. I mean, it was, you know, that's your atmosphere. You know, it's like, imagine big stick and ball sports. I mean,
yeah. Locker room, just
locker room talk. You want to build that camaraderie up, especially with the people that you work with. You know, so take care of them and have fun.
It's so lost, eh? Like, I mean,
it's just different.
Yeah, the culture's so different. Like even with like Griff and Rones at work for me, I'm just like belting them all the time. Like, and people that come into the circle, they're like, damn. And it's like, nah, this is what builds. You get close with people and you can like hang shit on them and make the jokes and just I don't know. It's like hazy and you can just do it in such like a loving, fun way.
I mean, you talk about like getting on people and like having a good time. If I'm not making fun of you or giving you a hard time,
you don't like them.
That's right. Don't like, don't like them, but yeah, we ain't gonna be going to dinner, you know?
Yeah. Gotta have thick skin. I really wish that there was a bit closer of a vibe between Japan and the sport, because like think about, dude, those
Moto
guys,
GP and stuff,
they love motocross.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And there's a pretty big disconnect, you know, like obviously there's engineers like HRC and like they've got people that come, but I don't know, I just feel like we don't give enough, maybe respect isn't the word, but I don't know, it's just we don't realize how massive the influence of the Japanese have been on what we do. Well,
you have to, one thing you have to consider is like they rotate a lot of their employees around, you know, like in Japan, like they move this guy from this department to this department. So like you might pick up an engineer like, yeah, I worked on the 4-wheelers, you know, the last 3 years. It always seemed like, you know, like I can't remember what the rotation was. Maybe it was 3 years, 5 years, but we'd always get a new manager, you know, from Japan that would be the manager of you know, whether it be American Honda or American Suzuki, Kawasaki, KHI, whatever it might be. So that, I think maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, in some of the racing departments, the guys will stick around for quite a while, but still they'll take them. And I think that just because of the culture, I'm guessing, I don't know this, maybe they move them around so they get experiences in all different parts of the business.
Huge companies.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they move them around. So I think that they're extremely loyal. It's just the business model, you know?
Yeah. It's just, I just feel like it for four of the biggest manufacturers to be Japanese, like they built our sport from the ground up. And that they're not like a day-to-day part of our lives as like motocross and supercross races, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's just something I always thought about.
Yeah.
When did you buy the goat farm?
99, the end of 99 season.
Was that a huge turning point?
Yeah,
like,
it was
what
big.
What were you doing up until that? Just
I was riding at local tracks in Tallahassee. Me and Yogi were great friends at the time. I was riding with him. I was leasing a track just outside of Tallahassee too. At the same time, there's a big telephone pole or a radio station like antenna out there. You've seen it in some of the ads and videos and stuff like that. So that's where I did a lot of riding, just kind of back and forth there. And then I bought the goat farm in 99 and sold it to Star in the end of 2000, I think. It was cool to see that place go to an establishment and a race team like Star Yamaha because, you know, it's still getting put to good use, right? It's like the legend lives on. That was cool. That was cool to see it in that. I was pumped for that.
Man, that was just a special place. Eh? Like I remember that first time I went there, driving down the driveway, I was just like, "Get fucked."
It's like you crack me up.
I am driving down.
Here we go.
I am driving down this road, like all the video shoots and the posters and the testing and the, you know, like just like this is crazy that I'm actually going to this place that built this dude, which built this sport in a sense.
There's nothing flash about that place, bud. Nothing whatsoever. Had some tough days out there. Hot, dude.
Pine trees, not a breath.
And then, dude, like in the summer, we had gnats. Like it just, I don't miss those days.
Just in a barn, bro.
I don't miss those days. I'll tell you what, though. I'll never forget, dude. Like those days, the hotter, the better. The hotter, the better. I just loved seeing dudes melt down.
I was about to say, like, so me and BT are boys. And he's like, bro, you have no idea how fucked up that place was. And you got Colleen he'd say, correct, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but you had to do sprint laps. So you had to do a section.
Yeah.
And if you got your fastest time, and you had to hit that fastest time every time 5 goes in a row. And if you didn't, you just didn't stop. And there'd be times where he's just like...
You go until you get that time. And you just be burning it up, dude. I felt, like there's been a lot of dudes come through there that melted down. Dude, Ernie was there one time. And he did his moto with no jersey. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? We had some good times. We had some good times out there.
Well, Ivan was saying there was a time where you basically like walked out from the barn you got done ages ago. And you walked out and you told your mum like, nah, he's done. Like, can't do it.
Yeah. That's what like sometimes I tell my mom, like, dude, this dude's melting down, bro. You got to ease off. Can't do it. It's just different. It's different, you know. Like I wish I could explain it, but I don't. It's just a mindset and what you're used to and what works for certain guys, what certain guys I wouldn't even say handle, because there's some tough guys I've been around. Great teammates. I mean, Ivan's tough. Ernie was tough in his own way, and he's a small dude. You know, it's just different. Just different.
What was it like that you had? And why
I just think I think my ability to not pull the ripcord under like when you're really suffering maybe was a little bit higher. I mean, but I don't. As I'm saying that, I don't want to say like the guys that I was competing against weren't that way, because they were bad dudes also.
Yeah, but I mean the history.
I don't know. Maybe
show that
I don't know. Maybe like maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Like, what is it like? Lance Armstrong doesn't build up as much lactic acid or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, like the amount of volume that my heart pumps per beat is much higher than the standard that I know. So maybe that's a reason. I don't know. I'm no fitness guy. You know, just I'm able to suffer and, you know, but I suck at running. That's for sure.
There's got to be like a compounding effect though, right? Like the more that you do it, the more that you know that when you can get into that place, you can do it, the more it becomes like a prideful thing. Like, you know, no one can beat me. No one can, like it's probably a thing that just builds on itself.
I never thought that no one can beat me. I always thought that I could be beaten.
Well, maybe in that suffering
I always raced. Suffering, yeah. Like, I remember John Yo always telling me, he's like, dude, if you're ever late in the race and you think you're suffering, think about what the guy you're racing against is, how bad he's suffering. And so that would kind of get me to a certain place. But that was before I got in really good shape. So,
yeah, well, Eli said the same thing. He said he thinks just about if it sucks for him, it sucks for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be just a mental game.
I think it is. I think it is to a certain extent. I do. You know. And again, going back to the little things make a big difference. You know, it's like being true to your diet and getting the proper rest, and it's the little things like that add up, you know.
So did you enjoy it? Like, would you say you had fun, or was it, or...
No, you talked about this earlier. Is like, I don't really enjoy riding that much, unless it's for a purpose, whether it's a photo shoot or I'm testing something, a part or a piece. Like, I enjoy that stuff. But just to go out and ride a dirt bike track, I just think that I was exposed to it so much, and I rode so much, which I wouldn't recommend what I did for others, but that's what I had to do. I needed that repetition. I don't really enjoy going and just riding a track. It has to serve a purpose.
But so was your career fun on a whole? Or it was just a means to an end?
Yeah, just a means to an end. I loved winning, but I would say I'm having funner in my life now than I've ever had over any of the racing. It's the moments that just regular people do is what I'm enjoying more than when I was racing or any checkered flag or any championship I won.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's the experience for me that what I'm really enjoying, because I didn't get to do that. And so, I'm just a normal dude, man. Straight up. Like, I enjoy more what I'm doing now than I did when I was racing.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of should be like that, you know? Like, I think that the athletes live such a strange life. Like, you almost condense a whole lifetime into 10, 15 years.
10, yeah.
And then you have to live a whole nother life on the backside of it. You know, did you ever struggle with retirement? Or
I was new.
Yeah.
Like, I was so, like, planned out. My whole career, dude, was so planned. And, like, I mentally, like, when I did that Suzuki deal, I mentally knew what I was going to do, and I was ready. I had a really good feel of where I was mentally, where I was physically. If I would have kept racing, what would that have looked like? And, like, I was very, very pragmatic of my decision, and it was time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys, maybe they just didn't go through what you went through. Like, maybe you got lucky with the way that your career panned out, because, like, you didn't miss the fans, you didn't miss the adoration, you didn't miss being somebody special. Like, I think so much of people that when they retire, what they struggle with is, like, their identity is, like, tied to it.
Right.
And maybe, that from the way you're explaining, like, just being numb to a lot of those things and not feeling the highs, not feeling the lows, like, your identity, like, never really got wrapped into being Ricky Carmichael in the way that maybe other people did. And that just let that transition be so easy.
Yeah, I didn't care. It might have seemed to some people like, oh, yeah, he just wants the attention, and, you know, people say he does it now because I don't do it for the attention. That was never what, I didn't have that.
When you were racing.
Racing, so why would I want that now? Dude, I live in Florida. I'm under the radar. You don't see me posting a whole lot of stuff on Instagram as far as, like, personal stuff. like I got my people, and you know, those are the memories, the core memories, like that we're the time we're spending. I don't need to show the world everything that I'm doing, you know. But yeah, one thing that I do miss, I mean, I loved being loved by the fans, but I miss the being responsible and accountable for my results. Like I controlled the results that I got. The more that I executed, the harder that I worked, my hard work would pay off. And I miss that schedule, I miss that grind, and I miss being accountable for my own, you know, my own results. Well, not to say that it's not that way right now in the booth. Like I
think that's probably why you like it.
Yeah, I think so.
It gives you another sense
I get pissed.
Yeah,
like I'm texting our producer. I'm like, dude, I felt flat. I'm kind of pissed, you know? I just want to be, They're like, no, you did okay. I'm like, yeah, but I know I was better than what I did. And I get really frustrated when I don't, even though it was an okay performance, I want to be able to perform to the best of my ability. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Hard to do. I can't remember very many races other than the last race in 2007 to where I look back and like, man, that was a perfect race. There's always something.
What about Millville?
I mean,
2006?
Yeah, 2006. I mean,
come on, bro. You lapped everyone twice. What else could you do?
I don't know. That was wild.
That was wild, dude.
But I didn't know where anybody was. So I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, who's in second? What's going on?
This is crazy shit. I think James really did not enjoy his life this day.
No.
I don't think anyone but you really enjoyed their life that day.
No, that was...
But I'm sure you were in Tallahassee, rain, hail, or shine.
No, I'd never raced. I never practiced in the mud.
Really?
Ever. Never. It's too dangerous when you think about it.
Knees.
You're just asking for trouble.
So what happened? Like, why?
I don't know. I think, you know what? I think experience, just, you know, being older, knowing what to do, like, hey, don't crash. Just make it to the finish line. So being in that situation so many times, when I got in good shape, you know, just having the strength and the core fitness to be able to maneuver the bike in situations like that, I think helped that for sure.
And just doing your own thing, probably.
That's right. Oh, especially like in the mud. You talk about doing your own thing, like.
Yeah, it's just literally you in the track at that point.
Yeah, it is literally you in the track. Yeah, it's survival.
Do you think that James got the most out of his career?
No way.
Like, dude, is that one of the...
I thought for sure he was going to beat McGrath's win record.
Same, man.
Backtrack, I would have bet the farm on it, dude. It was just coming so easy. He won at a very young age, right out of the gate. I mean, dude, it took me 2 years. I didn't win a real Supercross until my third season, so that's 2 years. I mean, can you imagine if I would have won 5 races, you know, in 99 and 5 in 2000, I hate saying if, but I mean, hell, that put me at 58. That's a lot closer to 72 than 48, what I'm at. Right? So.
Yeah, the fact that he could just win straight away.
Yeah, I mean, you pick up a lot of wins there at the beginning, and you're still so young, and you already got 15, 20 in the bag, and that's basically where he was. I'm like, I thought for sure he was going to beat MC's record.
Do you have any indication of like why it didn't work out like that for him?
I don't know.
Like, have you spoke about it?
No. I mean, that'd be a tough question to ask. I'm like, dude, why didn't you win?
No, I guess you're right. It's just such a shame, like that.
I don't know. I feel like it's really not my business to ask him like that. Like, I feel like it would come off very disrespectful, which, you know, I just
feel like there's maybe it helps someone else. You know, like maybe there was just a thing that
I like that spin you're putting on it, but I don't.
You're a racer, like you know.
I just think he'd be like, why you got to be like that, bro?
Yeah, fair. Nah, fair.
You know what I mean? And you know what, dude? maybe there's something that we don't know about that.
And that's what I mean. It's like it wasn't talent. It wasn't right.
No.
Like there was something.
The dude had the tangibles.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was something that we missed, as you know, and it's just like, fuck, crazy that you could be like that and not get to that level.
Yeah. Because,
you just hate to see the next guy go. Yeah. Maybe there's just something that we just didn't know. And it's just like.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's just a private moment. Maybe, that, and again, that's his story to tell, not my story. And I'm not even going to speculate, but yeah, for sure. I thought, dude, this is coming quick. Just because I raced him, I knew I could see the speed and the talent. Like I was in the moment.
It could also just be as simple as, like you said, that once you left.
I don't think he was engaged as much. And I'm not trying to by any means say that I was the reason that he was doing so well and he was engaged, because I think I wonder if he respected the guys as much as he respected me, I'm not sure. That'd be a good question for
it took a lot to beat you. Like, he would have had to get so much right.
I hate talking about myself stuff like this.
Like
when you're telling stories, like when you're saying like Ivan, like that was so gnarly there, that was so hot. I think I hate talking about that stuff because to me it wasn't that. Yeah, it was gnarly, but they make it sound gnarlier than it really was. Like when I was listening to Ivan on your pod, I'm like, I don't remember it being that gnarly. I think, are you making this up? I don't remember being that. And he's like, nah, dude, you're an idiot. You don't realize, you don't get it, guy. Who knew? But it was normal for me. Dude, there were times when we'd be going to the track. This was when Ernie was there. Ernesto would be sleeping going to the track. He's like, dude, RC, I got to get some sleep, man. I'm so tired. He would get dressed at my house. So he
could sleep in the car.
Sleeps. Yeah. We go train in the morning, do our bike ride, get back. He's like, I'm going to get geared up here, and then I can sleep. That way I'm just going to hang out in the car, and we're ready to ride or get a ride. That was good.
Fuck. That's so gnarly, bro. Like, they're the best of the best of the best of the best. Better than 99.9% of anyone that's
I remember one time we were coming up on an off weekend, and this is when Ernie was hanging out with or staying with me for like the outdoor series, and he was on the 125, and we're like, okay, we're gonna not ride Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Rarely did I take more than 3 days off ever throughout my career. Unless I was hurt, rarely did I take 3 days off in a row. So we're like, so we don't have to ride on Thursday. Let's do 340s. And dude, this is like right before 4th of July, so you can imagine how hot it was. It's right before Redbud. And we did 340s, and I'll never forget. And the third one was hard for me, dude. I was like, I had to have been on the verge of heat stroke. Like, massive dehydration. Like, I started to feel light, and just like, I got to the stage where I wasn't even hot. I was almost like getting cold. And I lapped him 2 times in the moto. And dude, he was literally riding around. I'm like going by him. I'm just like, pull off, mate. You're just like doing nothing here. But that was one of those days. That day rings a bell in my. That one comes up a lot in my memory bank.
That's so
wild. 340s
in summer in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I think Dunge did 340s a couple times, maybe. I don't know, a couple others. Yeah, that was a lot.
How hard were you on Dunge at the start when he first got
Real
there?
hard.
Yeah, I remember he's had some stories for me where he was just like...
Me and Ivan, especially me, like, and he was a youngster. Dude, we used to just bag on him so bad, and he was just so gullible.
And so just soft and nice.
Oh, soft and nice, and he's scared to say anything wrong. And there's he can tell you the stories, but yeah, it was like, you couldn't do that in this day and age, but we used to have so much fun. There was a time where we were trying to get him to like stop going so fast through the whoops because he'd like dip the front and then like be almost on the verge of yard sailing, and there were times where he would keep making the same mistake, and I shit you not, Chase, he'd be looking back where the test trucks were to make sure that we didn't see him, and then when he'd look back, we'd be pointing at him. Oh, we had so much fun, so much fun. That was the good old days, especially like going into the 2007 season when I wasn't racing for a championship. It was it almost, when I see like Eli, I picture myself, he just looks like he's at ease. Even though he's racing for the championship, I wasn't racing for the championship. But he's like I'm kind of like, I can go back in time when I'm seeing Eli right now. That's dangerous for the competitors.
Dude, he looked so good all day.
He did.
When was the last time he went 1-1 in practice? Both practices.
I don't know, but I can tell you this. Like, I mean, it would have been interesting to see how that played out.
I know, dude.
It's gonna be good.
We got robbed of a crazy main event.
We did.
I was like, Jett goes down, Eli and Chase up front, Kenny right there. Bro, how does that dude keep?
Kenny's awesome. Like that. I wish that I could be. It's a double-edged sword, right? Sometimes I wish I could be more like Kenny and
have a bit of that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And that's where we talked about earlier in the pod is like the mindset is. It's like he's not going to risk it, but he's going to race, have fun. If the win's there, take it. Championship, it's going to be tough. I mean, he's going to have some serious help to win a championship, but I need to ask him this, like, is championship in his mind straight up? I mean, I ask you, do you think a championship's in his mind?
You wonder, right? I'm going to take a bit of an easy out on this, but you wonder whether having the championship in mind right now is even the move for a guy like him. Like, does the weight of the championship, is that too heavy to carry for like all of the rounds? Do you have to just make it easy and light and not care until you're 6-7?
I would think that you would have to, someone at his age, but he's so skilled though. That's the thing. Yeah, like, I don't know. I need to and again, I don't want to be I would never want to disrespect him and ask that. So we're just sitting here, talking like, what do you think he's thinking? What do you think he's thinking? But I don't know. Like, I'm sure he thinks that he could win.
How big of a hole is Jett in, do you reckon? And I'm not even like mentally or anything. Like, just 12th bike, probably not where they needed to be. I think that the bike thing, like, he raced Bercy, then he went to Australia. Like, there's a lot going on they took a lot on in the off season with the new motorcycle, and I just don't think they got the time, the Christmas, the Thanksgiving, all that sort of stuff. So I just think they're a couple steps behind, and now he's points behind. So like,
he's 15 points behind.
Is that a big deficit?
I can tell you,
Chase being as good as he is.
I can tell you, if it were in my day, I'd be like, it'd be tough. Because I only, like, you think about, like, in 05 and 06, dude, I never had that real big of a lead. I wouldn't want to spot that many points. So now he's got to play catch up, and he's got to hope that these guys don't go second and third each single weekend where they're maximizing their points, and it's going to take that much more time if he wins to, we're talking, by Tampa, maybe he'll be back in the points lead. If he won and those guys got second and third, you definitely don't want to give up points. Where I look at Anaheim, where I think he messed up, is outside of what happened in the first turn, that it's kind of somewhat racing incident, but he fell again. And that's what really...
Twice.
Did he? I didn't see the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, twice in the
whoops. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. TV did say we saw him in the whoops and then one other time, right?
Yeah.
So, we missed it. So, those are the ones when you look back and you're like, dude, you took what might have been a 5th place, 6th place. Now you got 12th. Yeah. That's big points difference.
And
doesn't seem like it, but in my opinion, it is.
Did you ever have any seasons where the bike just really wasn't where you needed it to be?
Yeah, hell yeah. 03.
Okay.
03.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, that was one of the closest. That really came down to the wire.
It did. It did. I knew I didn't have the bike to win, and I knew, like, unless Chad made a mistake, I knew I wasn't going to win. So I was going to the race and like, all right, I at least got to get second. You know what? With some dumb luck, maybe he'll fall down and I'll win. But I have to get second. Like, I was going to the races just like not even planning to win. I just got to get second.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, at some stage, you know, like, you got to be honest with yourself. And he had me covered. He was riding really well. His bike was performing well. And I was riding well, but not good enough. And my bike sucked. And luckily, I had accumulated enough points early on in the season where I could just get seconds. And, you know, I don't think he's there, you know, as far as bike setup. I think his bike is somewhat close, but he's got some work to do. It'd be interesting to see what happens the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's just so it almost was like an opener that didn't tell us anything. In a way,
that's why
in a way, you know.
I don't know. We talked about this on our pod this week, dude. I don't know how much merit I take in A1. I really just don't know. You know, like,
other than the points being like a fair bit of points to bleed out.
Yeah. I just don't. It's exciting. It's great. It's the opening season, but from a Supercross championship standpoint and SMX on down the line, like accumulating the most points that you can. That was weird what happened. I'd be very surprised if the same thing happened again this weekend.
Yeah. I got to change this camera real quick. And then we're almost done 3 hours already.
Dude, it does. Big time.
Is this the longest one you've done?
Probably.
The vortex, we call this, mate.
It's amazing for me, like, how you're able to sit and talk for 3 hours. It's crazy. You know who takes the championship on that? Pat McAfee.
Really?
Dude, you gotta check him out. Like, he's on TV all day long on the wrong network, but.
What sports, like, so you have football.
Yeah.
You love a lot of football. What do you think we took from football, or like media? Like, what do you...
What?
Like, just inspire who guys you like? Are there things that we don't do in this sport, media wise, that you follow that you really enjoy?
Media wise, I think we do a fair amount of stuff really well.
Especially over the last few years.
Yeah. I don't look at the other sports and be like, man, we should be doing that media wise. I mean, and everything's relative, you know. You got, you know, dollars and cents. More money, you can do more things, right? And we're still a relatively young sport, and not everybody rides motorcycles. A lot of people drive cars. A lot of people play stick and ball, you know. So there's just, you have to take all those things into consideration. I feel like continuing to grow the package, the TV package, the media package, I think is where these riders and where this sport is going to continue to grow. And they'll get the recognition that they deserve for their amount of risk that they take, and they'll get paid, and, you know, even more than what they're getting paid. But I just think it's time, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone being on the same page, one goal, and that's to be to the top.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about what you and RV do. Is, like, I think that was a real lane that wasn't in the sport, as well as, like, two past champions, two of the best champions, like, really.
Thanks, dude.
Given their take, like, as much as, I mean, I'd like to think I'm an expert in the sport in a sense, but I'm not, like, realistically. Like, even when we were doing the Supercross Companion with Adam and MC, like, I'm just sitting there just soaking it up. I'm like, boys, give me more.
Right.
Like, I'm more of a fan, you know, and I guess over the years you learn a lot of stuff that maybe the average person isn't exposed to. But, man, to have, like, those guys talking, you and RV talk, I'm just like, take the wheel, boys. Yeah. Take the wheel and tell me, you know.
Great guys to listen to. I mean, you think, obviously, MC king of Supercross, 7 championships. That's a lot, dude. And just what he was exposed to and the lifestyle that he lived. I mean, he came up through a good time, and then AC. I mean, that story in itself is unbelievable, right? So, I mean, that's what it's all about. And what always blows, like what I'm always interested in, intrigued in, I should say, is just a different approach from each guy. You know, like Kenny's approach, like Eli's approach, like Anderson's approach, you know, and even Sexton, all the guys. Each guy has their own little way, and I don't think, you know, there's no right way or no wrong way.
I think that's probably the best bit about the sport right now as well, is like you do have all of these guys that have won a lot of races, that most champions that we've ever had on a gate, and they've all got their own style. They're all individual, and they're celebrated for it nowadays. I think back in the time when you were racing, it was probably people were really trying to be forced into a certain box. And I think now, with the access that fans have to riders as well, and like really getting to know who those guys are, it just seems like guys have way more degrees of freedom. Yeah. And I think the next stage is for the lights class to get that, or the 250 class to have that same. I mean, they don't have they're not set in their ways in the same way, and they haven't done as much winning. But I mean, you talk to Levi Kitchen off camera and away from races, just a super cool, unique guy. Hayden's a super cool, unique guy. Joe's a unique guy. Like, we do have these. Faulkner's a very unique character. Yeah. You know, so I think if that spreads out into the 250 class as well, I think that's one of the cool things about the sport right now.
That's a lot of individuality for sure. They all are their own person, and they're less robots for sure, like it was in our day. I mean, it was just, not to say it's not about championships these days, but the guys just look like they're having fun racing, you know, and I don't feel like a lot of the guys, there's some guys don't talk about championships. You know, it's like, I think I can win races. And you go back to ours, and it was more just like, we just got to win a championship. Whatever I got to do, I just got to win a championship. So I think because of that, you're able to enjoy yourself a little bit more. I think it's cool. Like the older guys still racing. I wish I could have done that and had that mentality. You know, all the guys that are pushing 30, still going out, being super competitive. It's I love seeing it. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think that's because there's not that crazy dominant figure yet. You know, like that they all still have a chance to. Like, I could see Eli winning 5 races this year.
Yeah, totally. You know what's crazy is like I work on is trying to learn their mentality. Still, I always feel like each race that I go to, each season that passes us by, I always still feel like I'm learning and trying to accept their outlook and how things are, and knowing that not my way is the right way all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like I'm always trying to learn, just like, okay, let me learn how their way of thinking and what their approach is, and, you know, what's the quality of that approach, and, you know, what's the strong suit of that approach, and how it can help them be better. And I'm always like, it's fun for me to learn that and be like, okay, I'm open to the idea of their approach.
What are some of the things that are like the hardest for you to accept?
The hardest ones for me to accept always are, I just got to have fun to get the best results.
Yeah. Did that frustrate you working with Kenny at RCH?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. And it was like, and he was so much younger. And, you know, like,
totally
I see, like, when I see Kenny now and just kind of from afar and listening to him, like, it's cool to, I think he can enjoy it a lot more. Maybe some of the pressure's off. But yeah, it was like just trying to tell him things that I thought would help him, you know, and seems like he's taken a little bit from everybody, and, you know.
That 2016 outdoor season.
Or knowing, like, this is probably your best opportunity. You got to take advantage of it. Not just Kenny, but everyone. Like, before you know it,
it's gone.
It's gone, and the next guy's coming, chomping at your heels.
Yeah.
You know, that's the crazy thing. And it's like, and then it's too late. Once you realize, you're like, shit, I probably should have done this. Your time's passed.
Day late, dollar short.
Yeah. And trying to, you know, talk to people and let them know, like, hey, you know, make the best of it while you can, because maybe, you know, it'll be gone before you know it.
Yeah.
But you know, all you can do is try to help people, and you know, they're going to listen to you and, you know, consider what you're saying, or they're not going to, and nothing wrong with that. But at least if you can share that information with them and it helps them some way, or sets their mind at ease, or, you know, helps them make a choice, then good. I think then you get the point across, I believe.
Yeah. That 2016 season outdoors with Kenny was wild though, eh? That must have been very fun.
It was fun.
It would have been fun to be on the other side of something like that dominant.
Yeah, it was really cool. Much harder to win on that side of the handlebars than behind the handlebars. You know, going back to, I can't control what Kenny does, you know? So it's like, that was a big change for me when I retired from racing, is like, you can't really control your results so much as you would like to or could have when you were racing.
Especially
you're dependent
when you were
on someone. You're dependent on someone else's opinion, and if they think you're doing a good job or not, you know, like you're at the mercy of them. Like NASCAR, you know what I mean? When I was racing NASCAR, if you got, you know, you're not getting results, and you know, it makes it much harder to sell sponsorship. And then, what if you're trying to sell sponsorship and the company's having a bad month? Then you're hosed.
Or you're with a public company, or the company gets bought or sold, or.
So that's what's so cool about SMX is, like, you know, if you have a pretty decent opportunity, you can make some strides.
Well, even Kenny right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the boat that he's in. He's not even on a factory team. Dude got second on the weekend.
Yeah. But that's a dude, like, he's so talented. That doesn't surprise me how well he did. He's just that good.
I just think it's something that is cool about our sport too, is that, like, it just isn't so vehicle dependent.
Nope. It's not much different. I mean, you've spent time in F1 now. I mean, if you show up off the truck and your car is a 10th place car, there's not a whole lot the driver can do.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't taking it from 10th to 1st.
No, dude, there's people out there just like frothing if you get a point. 1 point. Yeah. Imagine you being just frothing.
It was hard when I did my NASCAR stuff. Dude, we go to we go to Texas 2 times a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, and you go there in the spring and you're like top 5 right off the truck, right? Then you go back in the fall, and like me being a moto guy, I'm like, okay, now I got, you know, several hundred laps around this racetrack. I love this place. You go back in the fall and you unload and it's like 10th place. And you're like, what? And it's like, dude, this is, and you're wide open for like 8 laps. It's like, not much more I can do.
It's on the floor.
That's right. So that's a tough pill to swallow. But what I learned a little too late is, if it's just 10th, like maybe you can get an 8th, but you can't take a 10th place vehicle or a 5th place vehicle and get worse than that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Did you enjoy the NASCAR?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was a steep learning curve. I came up through a time where NASCAR had basically banned testing to try to make it more competitive for the smaller funded teams, so that I needed the track time, not necessarily testing time, just track time. And they had gone away with that. So it was, but I got to accomplish some really cool things. I got a couple poles and several top 5s, and it was cool.
Was that Monster's first involvement in NASCAR?
No,
they'd been in there before.
They with some other drivers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was cool for our sport.
Yeah.
To have somebody that went
in a
over
different discipline
and did something else, you know, like that's always so fascinating. Like, I think those days are done. Like, we were talking about it yesterday. Daniel Blair was like, "Oh, if Jett just decides to retire early and do MotoGP," and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Never in a million years could he ride MotoGP. The level is and this is all sports.
Yeah.
You know, like the level that it takes to be on a MotoGP bike right now, or to drive a NASCAR, or to drive a Formula One. Like,
dude,
bro,
Juan Montoya won F1 races, came into NASCAR, did well, and he grew up on pavement.
Dude,
it's just gnarly, dude.
In 2025, the level, like if you're at the top of a sport, any sport in 2025, holy fuck, you're an alien. You're not human.
No.
It's so far past like human performance levels. You go to a MotoGP race and it's just mind-blowing.
Dude, how the bike's lower.
Oh, dude. Like, how you do that is completely beyond me.
Yeah.
So anyone transitioning to another sport in 2025, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, it's so competitive too. Like, man, it's so, like, outside of on the track, it's competitive. Yeah. It'll be interesting. You know, I don't know. I feel like Jett, if they keep him occupied on the track, and, you know, sometimes, I don't know, maybe with what's going on right now is a blessing for him, and he just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
So now he's like, has to tackle this.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, what do I do with the bike that maybe could be better? How do I overcome that? So it's kind of like a little challenge for him.
Yeah.
So, but I think, like, dude, I think he'll stick around for a while. I do. Yeah. I think he, you know, I mean, I feel like he's kind of comfortable, you know, outside of the outside noise. Like, I feel like he's engaged, and there's a lot that he wants to do.
Yeah.
For the records and the accomplishments that he wants to try to tackle. It's going to take some time, you know, several years. And then next thing you know, we got the rival, which is already a rival, and the guys don't even race each other, and that's Deegan. You and I talked about it. That's going to be insane.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you said about James, and when you retired, Jett ain't getting that.
No.
Like, there's going to be a guy that's right there for his whole career. You know, it's like almost his Stu in a way, like, and maybe not in terms of like what Stu was like on the bike.
Yeah.
But like, he's going to have that guy to deal with his entire career. And it might be the first time in his, like, so we've only ever had like a changing of the guard, a changing of the guard,
right.
a changing of the guard, like we've never had, he wins one, you win one, he wins one, you win one, he wins inside, you win outside. We've never really had that back and forward.
A little bit with Eli and Coop.
I guess, yeah.
Because weren't they swapping?
But not for like 10 years.
No.
Imagine that.
I'm excited for it. Well, I don't know, man. They're both like, that's like, it's an inferno almost. And do they both just nip at each other's heels for 10 years?
I hope so.
I do too. But I'm like, dude, think of how volatile that rivalry is now. I mean, is the sustainability? Dude, I don't know, man.
So I can't remember if I was saying this off the other day at the press conference, but I personally think.
I think I was with you when you had this conversation.
Yeah, so I think there needs to be some teams talking to teams, and there needs to be, like, Jett and Hayden don't ever talk to each other. You guys don't need to. But I really think the people around those boys need to get on good terms. They need to come to terms with the fact, because I personally think Hayden's that good as a rider. I wasn't convinced at the start when he first turned pro. I thought, I was like, he's going to be like really good. And he's definitely, but I looked at Jett as like, no one's going to be as good as that guy. But I think Hayden is going to be really good on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
To the point where, so there would be a point where Hayden's really good on the motorcycle, but no matter what, he can't. There's nothing that he can do extra that can beat Jett. And I was like, maybe he's in that level. But I think maybe I'm not willing to say that Hayden is going to be as good as Jett on the motorcycle. But I think that it's going to be so close that the things that Hayden can do extra, whether that's the mental side of things, whether it's the off the track, the games that he plays, whether that those things will be able to, those things plus bike equal he can beat Jett. But yeah, I really think that it could get too much if they all don't get on the program.
Right.
And
we talked about it, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's just like that. Everyone's entourages. It's like that's what's going to mess it up. Straight up, that's what's going to ruin it for everybody. The fans, most of all, and the
boys
their experience.
Yes,
it's going to ruin it for them. I hope that's not the case, but it's everything that you said about Hayden's tangibles and Jett's. You're right on point. I believe the same too. And I think what's fun for me from a competitive standpoint, without throw out all the drama and the entourages and the smack talk, just racing styles. And what I can't wait to watch is how both are completely different styles and how they both are effective, and what actually ends up making the difference in the end. That's what I can't wait to watch. Outside just the hardcore racing, you got a guy that's super tactical, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, super skilled, but then you have a dude who is young, still a lot of skill, and is willing to hang it out and get uncomfortable. I think Jett is willing to get uncomfortable as well. It's just doesn't do it very often.
I think he doesn't have to do it as often.
Right. So it's just, I just love watching how the two different riding styles is going to pan out.
Yeah.
Outside of the other stuff, that it's just going to naturally be there.
And I think this is one of the ways I've been thinking about it, right? So you Deegan and Pastrana. When did you ever hear Pastrana reference Deegan?
Never. Yeah.
That's the playbook.
Right.
That's it. But we've already got this back and this. So it's like if we've got Hayden Deegan and we've got Travis Pastrana and Jett Lawrence. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
But we've
totally
got a different way that Travis is dealing with Brian in this, in the analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I really think the playbook has already been set. It's already been written. Chirp, 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 walk the high road. Chirp, 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 walk the high road. And it's like that. If you just do it the way that it's already been done, we're good. But I think if they get into a war, that I think it's going I think that would be a struggle.
Yeah.
And I think it would take years off careers and, but it just would spill over. I don't know, maybe that's a crazy world too, where it's like maybe that pushes us into like a totally different stratosphere.
I do feel like at some stage, and I think that they both need to, I think that they both need to respect their craft. I do. From a competitor standpoint, you got to respect the guy. If I'm Jett, I got to respect Hunter from a riding standpoint and his ability and how effective he is. And the same for Hayden. He's, you have to have respect. Don't have to like him, but respect him. And I think for the longevity of that, I think that mindset would be helpful. That's what I would try to do. Even though Chad and I there was no love lost between us two, but I always respected him. Always respected him as a competitor. He's so gnarly. I think that if they can do that, that would be helpful.
What would be the gnarliest that got between you and Chad? Was it ever
nothing,
that bad?
Dude? Nah. Honestly, I go back to it was just the outside noise, the entourages, managers, spouses, and just friends and practice buddies. Just, look, that was their guy, and I had my guys. It really because I always respected the guy, and same, we had a conversation. I remember it was flying from outdoor race. We were sitting next to each other on an airplane.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just well, here we are.
No.
And then we had, I can't remember exactly what the conversation was, but it was nice. It was hey, dude, I got a shitload of respect for you. you're a tough competitor. I know we battle it out. I didn't say this verbatim, but it was along those lines. I think we just, at that stage, I feel like it lessened the bitterness at the races. So like when at least we were at the races, it wasn't so uncomfortable. At least for me, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it seemed for him like it was just, we were both more outgoing towards each other.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is for the people that are around you that don't have to be the one on the racetrack. Like, you're the one that has to deal with, like, the real-world implications of a rivalry on the track. Win, lose, it's dangerous, running it in, it's week after week. The people that are around you, they think they're in it with you, and they think they're going through it with you, but they're not, because they ain't on the motorcycle. They don't have to deal with the guy.
That's right.
And so there's another element too, is like, as your career goes on and you get bigger, then you like have this guy to deal, you got a manager to deal with the problems, and this guy. And what does a guy who is paid to solve problems need? Problems.
That's right. 100%.
So it's like, that's where when you say the entourage and the people and the this and the that, like, that's really what it comes. That's what, at least in my head, I've boiled it down to. And it's in all sports. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it I'm not like singling people out.
No,
but it's like,
I'm not either. Like,
that's how this works. When you got a guy that's paid to solve your problems, you need some problems. Doesn't have to be any deeper than that.
No, you're right.
So you
I
just gotta be
never
mindful.
thought about that, but yeah.
Oh, bro, I've seen it in of all the years that I've been around doing shit in different sports and different things.
Yeah.
I'm just like, motherfucker, you just get paid to solve problems.
Yeah,
you create.
I can't wait to see. Yeah, I'm excited for it, and like, I almost feel bad for Chase. Like, there he is again. Like, no one's even considering him, and maybe he's the guy that comes in there and spoils the party. He's got the ability to do it, the speed to do it. I mean, it seems like it'd be good motivator to go out there and shake up the rivalry. It's going to be good. And I feel like that would be a great time. Like, you're talking about the sport and growing it, and like, it's in good hands.
Perfect storm.
And perfect storm. If you can take advantage of that opportunity and blow it up media and TV wise, it'd be awesome.
Are you in a position to call the championship for 2025?
Yes.
What would you say? Who's winning the 450 championship?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if am I going to be there? Yeah. So.
Yeah, you'll be there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, are you in a professional position to make a call like that?
I mean, I know I get, like our internal friends all like, I never make predictions because I couldn't have predicted what happened at Anaheim. Chase can win. Eli can win. Jett can win. Hunter Lawrence almost won SMX World Championship last year. I mean, it's just, it's so tight, and there's so many variables. I feel like there are more variables today than there ever have been because there's more guys to win. 100%. So me telling you who I think is going to win, it'd be easier for me to tell you why I think these guys can win, or maybe why I think they have lesser of a chance, rather than saying, well, I picked this guy.
Just too wide open.
Get a good start, and the guy, you can't get by the guy, he's the winner. I mean, look what happened to Chase at frickin' Vegas, dude. Who would have thought? So it's like, and honestly, it doesn't matter to me who wins. It doesn't change my life. I think it's great for the sport. I just want to see it go down to the wire and have multiple guys having an opportunity to win the World Championship. That's what I want. Because everyone benefits from that. Guys like you and I, the riders ourselves, the fans, that's the winners also.
Yeah.
Right?
Couldn't have said it better.
I mean, it's just, and honestly, like, yeah, I mean, I could make a great argument for Jett, why he'd be the favorite. Same for Eli, same for Chase, same for Kenny. I mean, I go to that playoff system, and I think that system works well for a guy like Kenny. I really do.
Yeah, especially like without the injury that he had last year.
I just, so like, that's always lingering in the back of my head. is stuff like that, and it's the abbreviated races. More crap can happen. So it's just, I feel like they've done a really good job with the format for those SMX playoff rounds.
Yeah. No,
it's engaging. It's, short. So, I don't know.
So, what's next for you the next couple months this year?
Well, this year, we're gonna,
documentary's coming out.
Yeah, I don't know when exactly it's coming out now, especially since Sam, lost his stuff. So, I mean, that's real world stuff there. So, get him through that, and then, just SMX and Supercross, summer stuff. I'll do some house cleaning. Like I'll have some stuff with Triumph I need to do. I signed a new extension with them, so excited about that. Just rolling along, keep going, and I feel like I have a good balance.
Yeah.
I'm not
overcommitted.
I'm not overcommitted.
Yeah.
I'm not overcommitted. So,
good spot to be.
Yeah.
We need to do an adventure bike ride this year.
You want to come with us?
What's you do the annual one. When's that?
It's going to be around August, like the beginning of August.
All right.
Yep.
I'm
like
keen.
First week of, are you keen? Yeah, let's do it.
I'll just see I don't know where I'm going to be. Trying to do some shit with F1 and MotoGP.
Oh, you got some stuff.
Yeah, hopefully.
Good.
Towards the end of the year.
Dude, you're big time now. You're going to be like Rogan.
Trying. We'll see what happens.
Duh. You never know.
You never know. Well, hopefully this year, though, is like, I never talk about what I'm going to do. I try and just do it.
Yeah.
But hopefully this year's a year where I got some people that I want to bring in from outside of the world that love our world, and hopefully that kind of widens the net a little bit.
The collaborative opportunity is massive because, like you just said, I mean, people in other sports bigger than this that love this, and
movies,
vice versa.
TV, like there's music, there's a lot of that's definitely my goal this year. I want to put in a bit of a solid grind at the start of Supercross season. And then sort of try and I've said I don't want to travel. I'm like really trying to stay locked in, but I'm gonna try and do a couple little things. But if I can get on a ride, I want to go on an adventure ride. That's so much fun.
Oh, it's a dude, and it's about the camaraderie of the group and just creating special core memories with a great bunch of people in this great country. And the riding, you're doing what you love to do, and you're hanging out. And, we set it up, our adventure rides, for people that don't know. Jace, about. I mean, we said, like, we do, like, destinations. Like, we'll ride from one city in the Midwest to one place in the Rockies. And it's, we have a nice dinner, enjoy some good banter every single night. And we get up the next morning and we roll. Try to do like 300 miles a day, nothing too crazy, so we're not absolutely racing from one stop to the next. So we're safe, but are able to create content as well. So we have a good formula. It's really good formula, and it's just you're just making memories with great people on motorcycles. It's a lot of fun.
Dude, thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I know it's been I've owed it to you for a while, and I wanted to come on. I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for you, dude. I'm pumped for you. I've known you for a long time, and it's awesome, dude.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You've always been in my corner.
Yeah, of course. Of course. No, you're real. You're no BS. You know what I mean?
Was this good?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. I just hope everyone else, maybe who didn't know me, has a different thought or appreciation, not even appreciation, but a different outlook, I should say, hopefully on a positive way. And dude, like, I'm to the point in my life, dude, I'm older now. It's like, it's so much easier to be nice than it is to be an asshole. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So I appreciate it. This was good.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad we finally got to do it. I know.
Thank you for having me, dude.
People don't realize too how long some of this stuff takes to set up with just like schedules and just the
schedules most of the time.
Yeah. Location, I'm here, you're there.
I'm glad that we did it in studio and didn't do it remote.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Got to wait for that.
That's way better.
Well, you've always got a seat at this table, mate. And
thank you.
I'll look forward to hearing the call.
Yeah.
And,
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be good. It's exciting. Like there'll be some redemption or revenge rides for some guys, and but my championship mindset comes to the forefront is like there's still a lot of racing left. Like Jett doesn't like the two, like Deegan, he's probably going to be the favorite. Probably won't fall on the first corner. Jett's probably going to do better than 12th. There's just so much more racing left. You see the true colors like around 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get too excited yet.
I'll be there for it.
That's right.
Ricky Carmichael, ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
You.
The man.
Thank you. Good stuff,
Legend,
brother.
bro.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.